Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Meeting is called to order. 6:30 p.m. If we have a roll call, please.
We have Director Critton, Director Mack,
Here.
Director Daniels, Director Washington, Vice Chair Williams, Chair Randolph.
Here.
Director Gardner, I didn't say. I thought I said.
No, she didn't say that.
Not in here.
No.
That's my thought. I stand corrected. Director Gardner. I shall walk in here.
Okay, let's all stand, please. Moment of silence. Thank you very much. Okay, allegiance.
And the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go into the citizens' participation, I have something I'd like to say first as a opening statement. And that is, hello for you, all of you all who don't know me and those that do know me. My name is Wanda D. Randolph. I am your new CRA chair for the CRA. I acquired this position by the majority vote of the town council. And I would like to thank our board chair, former chair, and also our mayor, Ms. Angela Gardner, for all that she has done and for her efforts in this time and effort that she has put in towards this position. I'm here to foster the mission of blighted areas in the town of Eatonville, and also to establish a better working relationship with the residents, which comes first, council members, and also staff. I believe in holding people accountable. I hold myself accountable. First, I look at myself, see exactly where I am, hold myself accountable. And I do expect for all of us to build ourselves in a very mature manner, and also to do the same. Please understand that members and here on the board, including the attorney, earns dignity and respect. And also keep in mind that as a member on the board, I share no strength other than what everyone else has, and that's just one vote. We all have one vote equally for the boards. There's 7 people here, and the majority meaning 4. If there's 7, it rules. So I'm very thankful. I look forward to a very smooth transition in moving the CRA forward. Thank you very much. Now we will have citizen participation. 3 minutes. Secretary.
Clerk, Angela Thomas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Thomas. I just have a question in regards, well, I have a few statements in regards to board decision on 8 dealing with 41 Lincoln. 41 Lincoln is my grandmother's property. It has not been through probate. It's still up under the name of Weeder Latimer Estate. There's no homeowner's insurance and the taxes have not been paid. And from my understanding, as the will read, that it belongs to her living relatives, which will be my mother-in-law, Rita Ricketts. My mother-in-law is not signing any of these papers. So I'm just trying to figure out how did y'all come up with this amount of $3,900? And if you do decide to fix this pipe or whatever it is that's wrong, if there's any other issues that follows that, is the CRA gonna be responsible?
Okay, thank you very much. I will divert some of that information to our executive director. She's on the line, but we'll wait until later on. In the meeting. Next person.
We have Angela Johnson.
Good evening, CRA board chair and board members, fellow residents. I wasn't gonna say anything about 41 Lincoln, but since Angela mentioned it prior to, I will say that reading through the packet, it seems a little concerning that the CRA, it may be entering into an agreement with a piece of property that has not gone through probate. I would challenge you to determine who has the legal authority to enter into a binding agreement for that property. I brought just a sample application from the city of Winter Park CRA when they are considering different grants. One of the items on here is that the property must be homestead tax status. So that would at least show you that those properties have gone through probate. Secondly, I have a question, and the CRA executive director can answer it. In the packet, there's information on the ring camera program. I know that a couple of months ago that there was a meet the chief, and part of that particular program that evening was that seniors could sign up for a ring camera. Now, my question to that, we understand that a ring camera requires an internet connection. So has the CRA executive director considered how will those cameras be activated if a senior does not have access to the internet? Have the CRA considered any subsidizing or funding available to be able to underwrite the cost of internet for these individuals in order for it to be a functioning camera? If she can respond to that. Also, can you guys address, because in the budget, there's this budget for a CRA admin assistant and then a fiscal coordinator. Can you give some clarity on those positions and if those positions are filled? Or are those costs being shared with other personnel that may be employed on the town side? Secondly, line item for insurance. You have a budget, okay, 40 grand, so that budget is pretty close to the. And is there any details on what's in the budget of $273,000 for the infrastructure improvements? If there can be some clarification on whether or not there's been discussion or any direction on how those funds are going to be expended as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was the last one.
All right. Thank you.
Chair Randolph, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm under the weather.
Next, okay, please.
Shannon.
Good evening, Chair.
Speak?
Good evening, Chair Randolph. Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
I can hear everyone. Can you all hear me?
Mhm.
Can you all hear me now? She's working on it.
We can barely hear you.
Still can't hear me? I can hear you all. What was that? It's at the max.
Try to speak.
Can you hear me?
We can hear that.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry that I'm not physically there. I have a cough and I have the sniffles and I don't want to pass my germs to anyone. Chair Randall, did you want me to answer those questions or did you want me to wait to a certain segment of the meeting?
If you would like to acknowledge and answer those questions, that would be fine.
Okay, the $273,000. So when I started, the budget was not, there wasn't a full allocation, and that was the budget line item that the money was placed into. When I started, it was 593,000. And since that time, we've allocated it to different programs. So infrastructure improvements is not technically that line item that it's going to be spent in. It's just a general fund that we have the funds in. To answer the next question, we do have an admin assistant and we do have a current fiscal coordinator who both work part-time. And as far as the ring camera program, the program was approved before I started, and we have not gotten into the internet subsidies. I will have that conversation with I guess with the mayor on we're gonna have to have a deeper conversation about that, and we'll figure out what internet subsidy looks like. Because I know that we've had preliminary conversations with a partner in the community doing Wi-Fi from their facility. So that's a larger conversation for us to have. But at this time, we do not have an internet subsidy that was being offered with the Ring Camera program.
Okay.
And then I guess we'll talk about 41 Lincoln once we get to that item.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next we will have a presentation with Bagel King.
Ken, you want to go ahead with the presentation? Well, there you go, Ken.
Bagel King, we're recognizing Bagel King this month as our business of the month. Is there a representative present from Bagel King today?
No.
Okay, so we'll make sure that their sign gets dropped off Monday, and we'll take them their certificate. Bagel King has started off in 1977 as a small family business that aimed to provide handmade quality bagels to the local community. Over the years, Bagel King gained a following and slowly grew its customer base to include hotels, theme parks, hospitals, airports, cafes, coffee shops, restaurants, schools, and more. Today, Bagel King is a third generation and still a family-owned business using the same original techniques and recipes that have led to its popularity amongst its customers. With a team of over 65 employees, many of whom have been with the business for 15 plus years, Bagel King Wholesale continues to produce and deliver daily freshly baked goods throughout all of Florida. Its product line has expanded to not only include fresh made bagels, but also a variety of other baked goods, including fresh handmade Danish cinnamon rolls, muffins, croissants, cupcakes, cookies, and a wide array of pastries. We want to thank Bagel King for being a great partner within the community, and I will make sure that their certificate and board gets dropped off, as well as social media posts, so that we can enhance their visibility within the community.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? One. Okay. All right, so Next is the consent agenda. Approval of the CRA meetings for April the 18th, 2024. Has been moved
Second.
and properly second. Any questions? None? All those in favor? Any opposes? Motion carried. Next, we have the board discussion. Item number 3, discussion of CRA bylaws.
So it was brought to my attention by board member Vice Chair Williams that he wanted to have a discussion on the CRA bylaws, and he wanted to work on amending something within the 2023 bylaws. And so because of sunshine laws, we have to have an open discussion with changes so that we can hear from other board members as to changes that would like to be made in the CRA bylaws.
Can we have a workshop on that one?
We can, I can schedule a workshop if that's what the board would like to do.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chair, I was gonna ask if there's any amendments that need to be done that we email to, I guess, the executive director, so we can all have have heads up on what we're talking about, checking this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying for each board member, if you have any concerns, to email those to the executive director? And the executive director can send those to the attorney.
Yes, that's fine. I'll send an email and blind copy everyone, and then you all can respond back to your changes separately, and then I'll combine those into a red line item, and we'll work on scheduling the workshop. Vice Chair Williams, did you want to bring those red line items to the next meeting, or did you want to just set a separate workshop?
Whatever the desire of the board, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just, making a suggestion. If they want to email them, then we come together. I don't know how often everyone reads the email, but just know everyone is on the same timeline. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so the agenda items are due for our next meeting by next Friday. So if it's the desire of the board to submit to me changes, I can work on redlining the items and then we present it, or we can keep to the same deadline and we can have a workshop next meeting. For the meeting next month, we can workshop before the actual CRA meeting if you all would like to do it that way.
Okay, so are you saying that you need the items by next Friday?
Well, I would say by next Wednesday or Thursday so that I can have it all compiled, because technically items are due next Friday. So I would say a week from today, that way Friday I could spend the day putting it together. If anyone has any changes, I can put it all together, and then I can place it on the June, and we can do a workshop in June for the June meeting.
Okay. Number 4, discussion of CRA in the town of Eatonville interlocal agreement adopted on September 21st, 2023.
So there has been some recent issues as it relates to, and there's been some concerns with the way some of the interlocal is presented, and so I will turn it over to Vice Chair Williams to state exactly which direction we want to go, or is this another item we want to redline?
My concern, based on what I've read, I guess the town has a lot of control of the CRA. But I just feel like since the CRA is supposed to be a separate independent government agency, it needs to stand alone, but the town can oversee. You know what I mean? But it's there's too much cohesiveness, you know what I mean, going on within this interlocal agreement, which can, and then, allow some, I'm gonna say misfortunes can happen. You know, I'm not saying it is happening, but we can, I think we need to make some changes to that interlocal agreement. We can stand up by ourselves, so we can function as a totally independent agency and, do what's best for the community, which is, provide services to get rid of the blighted conditions within this community. I just feel like we're kind of handicapped presently with the way the current interlocal agreement is written. Nice, thank you. Example, like right now, we're asking for financials, we have to depend on the town's fiscal to give to us. When we have on a budget for a fiscal person, that shouldn't be a problem. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on with the county, you know, because the town is handling it. I mean, I don't know. But if we have someone that was directly working for us, I think we'll have a little more access to what's going on, how we need to move accordingly on certain pertinent events.
I couldn't agree more.
Chair, Madam Chair.
Yes.
When I first came on board as mayor, everyone was fired from the CRA. So in order to get help, we needed the interlocal agreement. So I totally agree with you. Finances should have never been brought over. I fought against it, but we needed it to be done somehow. So I totally agree with the financial the CRA having their own financial person.
Right.
The human resources is all done through the town,
Right.
so you will need the interlocal agreement to cover some things.
Right.
But it isn't a tool, and it has not been used to overpower the CRA at all. Those are really the only two. Well, and it also allowed Ms. Rose to help the town with the museum project. You know, so it is very useful, but it has never been used in a manner to overpower the CRA. But it was necessary to keep everything going.
I got you.
So an adjustment is fine, because I totally agree that the CRA is its own agency.
I have a question. Since you mentioned HR, do we not, and maybe, you know, in your capacity, maybe you can explain to me the split roles that I remember y'all discussing on the town side of the fiscal coordinator. It was like a part-time CRA position, part-time town position. There were like two different roles. Is that still in effect?
We wanted that to work out. It didn't work out as well. That person though has used a lot of the time, CRA time, with the grants.
Okay.
And that's what it was. But we're trying to structure it now so it does work the way it should have continued to work all along.
So our fiscal coordinator is strictly a CRA fiscal coordinator financial role.
Yes, I'll let Ms. Rose, but yes.
Yes, so 2 weeks ago, we went into agreement with Robert Half to bring in a fiscal coordinator, understanding that we were in an urgency to get our finances in order and separate ourselves from the town to deal with our own journal entries and our own affairs for the CRA. So we did contract someone in from Robert Half, and she's been working for the last 2 weeks to kind of go through working on reconciling the bank statement along with some of the expenses that show up. Prior to me starting, the town had taken care of everything. And so I just started getting access to our bank statements in the month of March. And so now we have a fiscal coordinator who's going through all of the documents and reconciling everything one by one, line by line, to make sure that everything aligns. So we do have our own fiscal coordinator.
What about grant writer? I know that was part of the conversation back then as well. Do we have a separate grant writer, or is that responsibility under the fiscal coordinator?
I've been writing grants that we've been applying. Huh? What was that?
Is it under the town or is it under the CRA?
So current grants that are being written, currently I'm writing them. So for example, we just applied for a live musician for our mobile market. We have not, and I think that's something that the board has to decide if we want to get a grant coordinator. So to handle any grants that we apply for, that's something that the board would have to decide on, and then we can work out budgeting an individual part-time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Item number 5. Discussion of the Town of Eatonville CRA attorney's current status with the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency.
I have a quick question before we move on. Vice Chair Vice Chair Williams, which line item would you like to make adjustments on so that I can red line and have those adjustments for the June so that it can be voted on?
Let me, I know fiscal for one, but let me just go through it a little bit more in depth, and I'll email you
Okay.
my concerns or information about first read.
Yeah, because under 3.1, when we talk about financial services, the town is still currently doing payroll. The town is still doing accounting. The town is still doing federal income and social security tax reporting under the covenant of HR. And the town is still doing sales tax and reporting.
Did you mention separation of duties? That would still be necessary. Because if you only have one person doing finance for the CRA, auditing hits us every time. You have to have a separation of duty, so you're still gonna need that interlocal agreement to allow for it. I don't know if that was mentioned.
I guess my last thing concerning the local agreement, I know previously there was some grants that was awarded to the CRA. I just wanna make sure the CRA is performing their due diligence within those grants, you know what I mean? So, that's what I'm doing with that.
But you send the executive director the grants so that we can have, or we can tell us what they are now.
I know the one was community policing grants. I'm just gonna top of my head. I know another was something to do with
The nightclub.
Yeah, that's another one. For us, the old Hard Heroes, what you wanna call it, that's one. I know there was another with the like $5.9 million do infrastructure grant where right off the top of my head, I know those 3 for whatever I just said was several part of the CRA, you know.
Yeah, I know it was several, and I know, what, the interlocal agreement, like I said, I'm with you, board member, Williams. We definitely need to make some changes when it comes to, the interlocal agreement, because especially on the finance side, because I know back when I was sitting on the board, before we went independent, we had some issues. And I'm in favor of going back to an independent board, but that'll be up for another day, we'll have that discussion. But I think we definitely need to do the separation when it comes to the finances, because that is certain major right there, because I know the finance person we had doing CRA was doing a tremendous job. Not saying that Ms. Gibson is not doing a tremendous job over here on her side, but I think it's just way too much intertwining with finances with CRA and the town, because we're kind of straddling the fence in a sense, because I know back then we had issues with getting certain pay. And for the town to be paying the CRA employees, I think that's problematic also. So we definitely need to go down a different direction of tweaking this interlocal agreement to where we're standing still with just, CRA on this side, which is a whole nother entity within the town, and the town has their own business. Whether that looks like the independent board or look like this board, and we just make the changes that are at hand right now, because the way we're going now is gonna be a continuance of problems that we're gonna continue having, and I don't wanna see us go down a path that's not gonna be good for us. So hopefully when you're bringing this up, we could possibly go down the direction of making a lot of changes that's needed.
So I want to add to that. So currently, the new fiscal coordinator is in the shadowing training process. Ultimately, and that'll be part of the item of our later discussion with financials, that we're working to get everything in order, because like I said, and you all have the packet in front of you, with expenditures as well as the expenditures, as well as the bank statements that show there are transactions that have happened that are not on there. And so we'll go into full details and discussions with that when we get to the fiscal line item number 6. So I guess the desire is, I mean, I guess that's the real question, like what in 3.1 are we desiring to change in the interlocal? Because we have to make the adjustments, and then we have to send it to council, and then council has to vote and agree on it as well.
I think we need to email you our concerns or changes for that as well. How does that gonna work?
I mean, we could do it that way as well, and then redline it. So that'll be another, we'll redline and then redline items. And then I guess the question would be, if Attorney Jackson, if you could find time on your calendar Thursday of next week, we can sit down in any of the red lines, because obviously these are legal binding documents. If we could find some time to set aside to go through red lines that come up with all of these items from the interlocal to bylaws, because I want to make sure that any changes that we're making are within the confinements of the law.
Anyone else? Oh, I have a question. And I want to find out, I want to just kind of get an understanding, on the finance portion does it create a workload for the present staff that we have here on the finance portion
It does.
of the town,
It does.
town employees?
From experience, from what I experienced in the past, it does. And it's gonna be a continuous problem moving forward if we don't correct it now. And I know people say we can do it. I've heard that before also, but we're gonna continue going down the path of this, stuff that's not gonna be good. And that's my take on it.
I spoke to that when the decision was first going to be made. I spoke to all of this. And I said then it wasn't a good idea, and I still stand firm on that. It should have never been brought over or put under.
And also, man, on the topic, I spoke about why we're not over at the CRA and why we're over here at the town. I'm definitely not in agreement with that. For whatever reason, I've heard, stories about the air conditioning not working, what have you. I think we need to, move down the direction of getting the air conditioning fixed while they can be over in their own area, because I don't like mixing. It's like mixing water and oil together. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that we got the town and CRA intertwining with each other, but I think it just need to be a separation, because it is another entity within the town. Like I said before, you can have the town without CRA, but you can't have the CRA without the town. And we need people in place to mainly focus on the things, especially the finances. And when it comes to doing the auditing and all that stuff like that, it's gonna create habit that we've had in the past. And on the CRA side, I know we had no issues with financing, and like I said, not taking anything away from Ms. Gibson. But the financing is always been an issue in the town of Beatonville. And we can't continue, especially with CRA being mixed with it now. So I think we need to go down the direction of having CRA finance and the town of Beatonville finance. And I know we brought over the what I'm trying to say, what do we have Mr. Baruch? Code enforcement. I know that was on the CRA side. when I was on the, board, well, and I see that it's on the town side now. For whatever reason that changed, I'm not certain, but like I said, it's just so many different things that's in this interlocal agreement that I don't agree with, that I think we need to make major changes on.
So I guess so if we're gonna just stick on fiscal for right this second, would you all like me to do a budget amendment and a request and go back to Robert Half to find, and I guess there has to be a larger conversation because currently accounts payable is done through the town. And so if the request from the board tonight is to seek a separate person to do accounts payable, we would have to then create a position which is not currently in our budget, because based on auditing practices, you must have an accounts receivable person and you must have an accounts payable person. Am I correct, Mayor? Am I correct, Director Gardner?
I think that's the direction we should go in. My opinion, I'm only one vote, so
But we're also looking at how much work is, I mean, in regards to,
if we get it done, we can do it now.
if you don't mind, Chair, may
Yes.
I will ask Ms. Gibson to explain the separation of duties. Can
Good
you just real briefly?
Yeah, good evening, CRA Board resident. What the mayor's referring to, there was an audit finding where the last fiscal person that you had in the CRA from 2020 to 2023 was doing everything. So you had that person processing the checks, doing the bank recs, other financial stuff. So the separate duty is what's going on now. The finance department pays for the invoices. So we cut the checks for all the CRA. So now the new person that's in the fiscal system, that person will handle all your bank recs. So right now, the finance department is paying for the checks. It's not a lot of checks. Cause you're not in that building no more, and the only thing that you have over there, they share costs with us over here. So like the copy machine, they don't have the light bill over there, the water bill, or the bill over there.
But from it,
So basically what they're doing, so what the person is doing now is just handling all the part of this that's gonna be going to the account. And as I'm standing here now, I'm not access to the account at all since it's been over there, put that on the record. I can't get into the account or anything. So if you want to have this new fiscal person, she need to have access to the bank account to be able to bring down the bank statements.
I think that, if I may, I think, this will better protect us if we went down the direction of having our own finances over in the CRA like we did before. I think it was very smooth. I don't know the issues that we ever had over there. When I was sitting on the board, it was very smooth. We never had any, issues with finance. And like I said, not saying that
you had was that person doing all those duties. And
So
so when
it's like check and balance, is what you're saying.
right, it wasn't check and balance.
Okay, we need a check and balance.
Right,
Okay.
and that same person can't do all
No
the
vote,
things.
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
And so, like now, you may have today from October to now, we probably don't process 48 checks for the CRE. And that's your website. You got a website that we pay somebody for. If we bought some software equipment for when Miss Shane got hired. She needed a computer, she needed all the different things. So it's not a lot of money being spent in, so you're paying your attorney in there and stuff like that too. And then you pay your insurance. So the insurance changed for everybody over this building, but you know. Trying to think what it is. It is separate, so if you go back over there, so right now, the CRA is on the IM software. So before y'all was paying for QuickBooks.
understand. A lot of things
So
have
if you want-
changed.
Right, so if you wanna go back to QuickBooks, you still need that one person to, so maybe, I don't know, maybe. I'm just
It's just a suggestion. Like I said, I'm not gonna be the only one, saying yeah, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like we need to go in a different direction concerning the interlocal agreement that we have in front of us, because there's so many different things in here that I think do need to be changed. And I'm glad that board member, Williams did bring this up, because it's just so many different things that are problematic, if you ask me, and I may ask, the attorney, from an ethical, point of view, what's your thoughts on having that CRA mixed with the town, if I may ask?
Based on the statutory provision and based on my dealings with CRAs are separate legal entities in and of themselves, and that they should be allowed to operate as such. I understand that the town has, the CRA does not exist without the town, but the CRA was put in existence in 1969 by the legislature for a reason, in order to handle a certain area of the town that is addressing slum and blight. Now, interestingly enough, Eatonville, much like 3 other municipalities, the entire CRA or the entire town is covered by the CRA, otherwise it would be a separate area. But it's a separate and distinct entity for a reason, so that the CRA board can act and can do things in the best interest of the area that it is over.
Right, thank you so much, I appreciate that.
And it seems like, based upon what we already have in place, that particular occupation, occupations that we're discussing may not require a full-time person. That's the way it was before.
No, it's part-time,
Pardon?
he's actually a part-time person.
Yeah, part-time person.
And you probably thought she was full-time, because she was
Yeah.
doing such a great job at doing it, but, she was part-time.
And then just to kind of, we may want to also look at maybe some other financial services when that time comes, that we can have a finance service to do all of the financial accountability. So that way it will be in the hands, we're in our hands, but it'll be in the hands of someone else to do that for us.
There's a great separation,
Yeah.
because I think it's something that we need, you know, you
Yes,
gotta, you need to separate,
yes,
you gotta be separate.
I agree. Thank you.
Question for the finance director, just a quick question. How many municipalities financial department handles, if you may know, you may not know, handle the CRA financial part? Would you happen to know that?
Not off my head, but most of them run through the town.
They run through the town,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the town is like the check and balance of making sure whatever is done, yet you're following correct procedures in here. And
Like everybody think it's a lot going on where they be spending money, paying bills and stuff.
I'm not
Right
saying
now, the CRA is not really not doing that much right now.
Right.
And so, again, you don't have to go to Robert Half to use a person. You can hire a person, because if you look at what you're paying Robert Half, you can pay a person that's coming out to do bookkeeping to take care of those things. You don't have to go to an agency. You can put the position out there for a part-time person.
Right. And just for the record, just for our finance department, they have a lot when they play, and they have ever since I came in, I was like, we need to just let finance do finance. They were up at the desk, taking payments and bills. So a lot of whatever paperwork or the budgeting stuff not being done is just because of them trying to help out the town and
And
other
let me say
departments.
that too, not stuff not being done, that again, we don't have access to TD Bank.
Right.
So the prior staff was making sure that we get the statements and stuff. So like, we don't have access to that. So what happened is right now, what we do is before, when everything came over, we paid the bills. And that's all we do. We pay the bills. Now that you got a assistant person, we did some of the bank recs, so they can do the bank recs. So that's all need to be done. Your bank recs to match what you had spent.
But I think it's able to help you guys out as well. Are we finished? So,
Well, understand, it's not what I'm telling you how to say is, we don't get 30 checks for the CRA once a month.
So hire that person, be a waste of money because you'd be able to do everything.
But right now, what the person gonna do now, what I told Ms. Rose, now that she got all these grant projects, she can get that part-time person to help do with it. Cause you only do the bank statements once a month. And that's why I say, you can go through, you don't have to go through an agency, you can just hire
that's
somebody.
why it's very important to hire a part-time.
Yeah.
That way we'll take strain off you guys from doing, because I know you guys have, dealt with a lot on your plate, and I want to be able to alleviate, some problems for you guys, because I know it can pile up. But if we get a part-time CRA finance person, I think that will definitely be able to help, especially on the auditing part of it. So it'll free you guys up a lot, and I'm pretty sure you'll be relieved of it, you know what I'm saying? Because you're really doing a scope of work that consists of more money, if you ask me personally, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm looking at the line item for you guys is finances, and, trying to figure out what you guys are getting paid for the scope of work that you're doing, me personally, I would want to give you more money. You understand me? Because of the scope of work that you guys are doing versus having someone in the finance department on the CRA side, which we should have, right? Because we've always had it as long as I've been, on this board, to my recollection. Now, if, maybe something happened way before I got on board, but to my recollection, the time I sat on the board, we've always had someone on the CRA side doing finance. To my recollection. Now, maybe something was changed before we get on board, I don't know.
Just to say, when you left, you did have an employee there, so the last finance person was resigned in 9/30/22. So for fiscal year 23, you didn't have a fiscal person over there. That position was vacant. And your CRA director was vacant too.
Okay. All right, we go to the next item. We'll see, where, on 5 or 6? 5. Okay, number 5. Discussion of the CRA attorney current status. With retaliate bill, can you give me that agency?
There had been several board of directors had reached out about the attorney agreement, and that's why it's on the agenda today. So if those board members would like to speak about it, please do so.
Sure. I asked the executive director in an email who brought this to the agenda. Would you like to say who brought it forward? Executive director, I sent you an email and you never responded on 5/14 to this particular issue.
So, well, because I can say it publicly now. There had been several, there have been two. It had been Director Gardner as well as Director Williams, and there had been some underlying questions about communication and response to items, including during our March meeting. Actually, during our February meeting, we received a letter about the Dixon property, and to date, no response has been sent to the attorney's office that requested it. During the March meeting, when we were first discussing the demolition of the Dixon property, it was brought to our attention during the meeting that the property is still in the estate of the Dixon property. I spoke to Attorney Jackson about what would be needed. I went down to retrieve a death certificate as agreed upon, and I kept him and the Chair Gardner at the time in the process, in the loop, and to date, we've not received any communication about that. And so there are some underlying concerns with items and the way items are being relayed and the communication. And then it was also asked of Attorney Jackson to talk more about it.
Sure.
Yes,
To this board, I've been up here. I had the opportunity to work with Attorney Jackson. Our first interaction, I guess we bumped heads, if you remember. We sat down and had lunch. And I saw that your love and compassion, I think it was Mayor Mount at the time, showed me that you care about this town and that you are professional, even down to your dress. And we're not going to address other attorneys that come in here in jeans, but you have always shown professionalism, respect, courtesy to me, and I've never seen you act out of character up here. So I'm hoping that it's just not personal, because like I said, we didn't see eye to eye when we first started, you and I. But after that lunch and saw your heart and your compassion for the town of Beaverville, I saw that we were on the same team. So, and that's why I asked Chair, the executive director who bought this, so that we could, or maybe so they can talk it out, because like I said, nothing but professionalism from Attorney Jackson from day one. And I don't see why we're looking at this. And that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Yes.
I'm actually the one that asked for this to be placed on the agenda. I asked for this to be placed on the agenda for discussion or an action because I received a telephone call from the former executive director of this agency, James Benderson, who informed me that this board wanted my resignation. When he told me that this board wanted my resignation, I said, well, there's a proper process in order for there to be a resignation, because I have a contract. I said, so this has to be something that the board agrees with so that I can give them proper notice, I can handle any outstanding issues so that I'm not leaving the board in alert. So that's how this came about. It also came about because over the past several weeks, and I want this board to do me a favor. With everything that's been said that I've been asked to do that I have not done, I want this board to go back and show me where there was an action item put by this board for me to do anything. I do not act without this board's permission or direction. If I draft a letter, and I told Ms. Rose this, if I draft a letter and it comes from me and this board has not directed me to do so, then I have acted without the direction of this board, and that is malpractice. I do not act without this board. So if there's anything that has been asked of me, go back and look and see if this board has said, Attorney Jackson, we want you to do X, Y, Z. And it was voted on and you told me to do something. If that's not there, I have not done anything because the board has not asked me to move or to do anything. The other thing also is that I've been noticing more and more that I am getting less and less information about the activities of this board. 41 Lincoln, I had no idea about it. Those are things that the attorney as general counsel of this agency needs to know so that I can protect this board from any pending actions. One of the first things that board member Mack asked me was, Attorney Jackson, do we have any pending legal actions against us? And I can resoundingly say at this point in time, no, we do not. And only because I keep up with those things and I make sure that certain things don't happen. However, if things are taken and decisions are made without my input or with my guidance, I don't know where things can go. So I have a major concern with that. Specifically, I know that Attorney Shepherd is being called in to give opinions about things that happens on this board. I also understand that Attorney Shepherd has said that he is the head over all agencies to include this board. That is in contradiction to what the Florida statute says because this board has retained a general counsel and myself. It's also a contravention to the resolution that this board entered into, that this board signed. And it's also a contravention to the contract that I have with this board. It's also a contravention with the organizational chart of this agency. It says that the general counsel is the legal representative of this board, and nowhere does it have above me, beside me, or beneath me the town attorney. There's a reason there's a separation in what this board does. The other thing that concerns me is that even when Attorney Shepherd gives this board's direction, his own opinions conflict with what he tells his board and what he tells the council. I'm going to give you a direct and a specific example. In June or July of 2023, I remember former board member Daniels was asking for there to be a vote for him to be made the chair of the CRA. On that particular night, Attorney Shepherd said, you cannot vote to make him the chair. You have to wait until December. The bylaws are the bylaws. I invite each one of you to go to June 21st, 2022 to see Mr. Shepherd's own word in this regard. He said that he could not vote at that time to change the chair. However, recently in a meeting of the town, he told this town that you can not only vote to change the chair before December, but you can also bring it as an item that was not on the agenda. In the same minutes, he told this board, you cannot vote on something if it is not on the agenda, which I wholly agree with. When then Chair Daniels wanted to vote and bring an item from the floor, I told him, and I easily told him, you cannot do it because it is not properly noticed. That is the way that you do things. If something is not on the agenda, if it's not properly noticed, it should not go forward. I understand saying, well, if the law says you don't have to have things on the agenda, the proper way of doing things and the proper way that things have been done is that if it's not on the agenda, it should not be voted on. And so in addition to that, he gave an opinion as to the chair and the vice chair. The board was never made aware and the council was never made aware of my opinions. They were only made aware of Attorney Shepherd's opinions. I don't understand why it is that I, as the general counsel of this agency, that my opinions are being quelched and you all are not being given my full opinions as to how this agency should be run. I was asked a question when Ms. Rose came and sat down and talked to me when she first came into this board as executive director, and she will recall this. She asked me, she said, Mr. Jackson or Greg, because I know Ms. Rose from the past. I've been friendly with Ms. Rose, but this is not about friendship. This is about doing what's right. And she asked me the question. She said, Greg, who are you loyal to on the board? And I smiled. And I said, I'm loyal to no one on the board. My loyalty is to the agency to ensure that I give them the proper guidance and direction to do what's right. That is my loyalty. I'm not loyal to Board Member Gardner, to Board Member Washington, to Chair Randolph, to Board Member Daniels, to Board Member Mack, to Board Member Crittenden, or to Vice Chair Williams. But if I do what's right by this agency is covered, and you don't have to worry about my loyalty to you as individuals, because my loyalty to this agency will help you to do what's best for this town. And so I brought this matter forward. And listen, whether it's me or someone else, this board needs to make a decision. Do you want a town attorney that gives conflicting opinions, depending on who's asking the question, to be over this agency and to guide this agency? Or do you want someone whose only interest is in what's best for this agency? And Board Member Mack, you and I, you know me. When there was an issue that took place, I even said, I do not represent anyone on this board, I represent the agency. And we went back and forth, but I just wanted to be clear that if I'm not supposed to be here, I have no problems with that. I challenge every one of y'all. Go and look at my invoices. I invoice this town probably once every 3 months. I haven't even put an invoice in since March of this year. My invoices, I think this year, I probably have been paid $3,000. And this is May, almost June. I don't do this for money. I do this because, as I told them, and Board Member Dan, you may remember this, when I was on the campus, on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida A&M University, and I read Their Eyes Were Watching God, I fell in love with this town. When I had the opportunity to come and realize that Eatonville is much more than Zero Dale Hurston, I said that I was committing myself to the betterment of this town.
Wow.
If people believe me, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine also. But I just want guidance from this board as to whether I should be sitting here or someone else. And I'm more than happy to give my 30 days notice and allow you all to get my direction on what should be done to get someone else to sit in the seat. And let me tell you this, I apologize. I'm on my soapbox. I apologize. Attorney Morrell was the longest serving town attorney in Eatonville. I worked alongside Attorney Morrell for 7 years. We never had this issue. We never had this issue. Attorney Morrell handled what was on the town side. If there's an issue on this side, we would sit down, we would talk about it. We never had this where he would give opinions underneath me and me having to challenge what he had to say and embarrass him. Because this is embarrassing. This is really, truly embarrassing. And I apologize for taking that time. Thank you.
If I may,
Let's yield to Board Member Washington, and then you're next. Thank you.
Got a couple things, several things. First, you opened your statement up saying formal executive director business. I don't know who have a conversation with him on this diocese. Tell you that information because I don't trust him or whatever. So I don't know why he got you that way. That someone was trying to touch you. Because if it's, I would talk to you man to man if that was my issue. But my main thing is we can't be in the office with the executive director if she have you something to do on the law side. The board can't direct you to do that if it's something to do with law. In the courts, you can't get our opinion and say we gotta go to the board to get that for me to go to court. So she is the person you need to talk to get your directions from. So I think the difference that this board need to tell him what to do when we have an executive director. So I disagree with you on that because you do need to be working hand in hand with law stuff. Yeah, with the property, with this property, yes, some things happen wrong. That should be in our name way time, a long time ago. So I know this information you're getting that we need to tell you what to do from the board when it has to do with law. Yeah, we don't work day to day. That's not our job.
The response to the letter is not long. The response to the letter is back in March of 2022, this board voted to return the property back to Mr. Dixon. This board needs to reconcile what it's going to do with that past vote. That is not something that I can do.
But that the board need to understand that by talking to legal, you can't do that. You can't get nothing back to nobody. You can't get it back. I told the board that. You look it up. You know that's illegal. You can't get it back. You told us that. We can't give it back to no one.
But I cannot act with that.
But you know that,
I
right?
understand. Now, listen, so I understand what you're saying, but and I'm going to have to disagree with you from a legal perspective on what general counsels can and should do. I have to take my directions from a vote of this board, and the executive director, to that extent, should be giving me directions based on what this board tells her to do. So yeah, if she's coming to me and saying, Greg, there was a vote by this board and this is what they want you to do, then yes, you're absolutely right. If I don't have that and I'm acting off of that, and then someone on this board says, well, why did that go? Because that's not my understanding of what we did. And there's not a trail to show that, then I have acted in contradiction to what my obligation is to this.
Like I was saying,
So
we don't run
I would,
day-to-day. We don't run day-to-day, and we can't be informed when everything goes on when come into this office. So when she get with you, y'all have to make that decision. It's an issue that the board need to make, get it come from that meeting. But if something need to go, like, you gotta go to court tomorrow during earlier the week. We wouldn't have knew that, y'all have to have that.
But now remember, like, legal actions is 286 anyway.
Right.
So listen, I hear what you're saying, but trust what I'm saying. If I act without this board's direction, I'm acting in contravention to what my obligation is to this board. I hear what you're saying, and that's not day to day. Day to day is someone comes in late, or someone wants to take. That's day to day. When you're talking about a legal issue that will affect and bind this board about the words that I put on a piece of paper, that's not day to day.
I mean,
I would like to. The issue has been, and let's in full transparency, it came up during the March meeting about the title specifically for the residential portion of the Dixon property. The deed was pulled, and in the deed it said that upon death of Mr. Tommy Dixon, that the property would be conveyed. With that, we had a discussion about me obtaining the death certificate, which we agreed upon. I copied you. I made sure I copied the chair at the time to let everyone know that I was obtaining the death certificate as instructed to do so. At this point, I've asked several times about, and we're going to specifically talk about the Dixon property. I've specifically asked several times about, like, what are we doing? When are we transferring? What else is needed? What needs to be done? Because if we move forward with that, we need to make sure that it's free and clear and our documents no longer say estate of Tommy Dixon. So I want to start there. When we received a legal document requesting a response from this board, it had at no point was there, and how would we like to deal? There was not at no point was an agenda item. No one requested me to place an agenda item. As the attorney, I'm not sure how the previous chair got a copy of that letter and brought it up during a meeting. It was around the same time we had received it. The previous chair brought it up and stated, well, I heard there's a legal document. What's going on with that? At no point has this board been requested or myself been requested to place an item on the agenda for a specific response to that letter, which to me is it, and the Tommy, it seems like the Dixon estate property continues to be an underlying issue that we need to come to some sort of resolution as a board and with the attorney. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we've had is like, there seems to be a pushback. When we got a public records request for any communication regarding the Dixon property, within 24 hours, the documents were turned over. So if there is resistancy from attorney as it relates to the Dixon property, and if you're requesting and recommending that we get a separate attorney because there may be some sort of conflict, I think that's what the board needs to know, because it seems that we're not getting the proper representation for a legal document that we received. We received a document from an attorney's office that was requesting a response. At no point has it been brought before this board. At no point has it brought, and it sent an email to me. Can you please place on the agenda so we can discuss how I need to respond? That has not happened to date. That response time was due months ago. It is made in statement in passing during every board meeting since that point. Nothing has been done about it. It has been several months since I obtained the death certificate at your direction, with communication with the chair at the time, which is Chair Gardner, that this is what was needed in order for us to fix the title. Nothing has been done. So if we need to hire an outside attorney to get the Tommy Dixon, to get the 225, and let's put it clear. If we need to get an attorney to represent us for 225 West Kennedy, I think that's really the question at hand that several of the board members need to know.
And just as a point of clarification, the letter that she's referring to was a letter that was sent directly to Ms. Rose. It was not sent to me. If it was sent to me for action, then yes, that's the difference. It was sent directly to Ms. Rose. It wasn't addressed to Attorney Jackson.
But did she pass it on to you? Did you know anything about it?
It was passed on to myself, to Ms. King, and to, I want to say, some other folks as well.
So where are we at now with it? Is it still under Tommy Dixon or is it under the CRA?
It is under both at this juncture.
Okay, so how do we get it under the CRA only?
Well, the information that I passed on is that you filed with the comptroller's office, the new deed, and that will correct the situation.
So that would be something that you do, correct?
Yes, sir.
And speaking on that, being that we're on this topic of you, my thing is, that's exactly why I say it's a separation. It's a whole nother entity. CRA has, somewhat to do with the town, but it's a whole nother entity within itself. If we have any legal questions, and you can attest to this, I'm gonna always ask you. I'm not asking Attorney Shepherd unless I'm on the town side. I'm a director right now. You understand? For the CRA. I'm not a town councilman up here representing now. You understand? Even though I'm a town councilman, but I'm a director at this moment under the CRA. So if anything that I have legally to ask, I'm going for Attorney Jackson. I've emailed you several times on things that I felt like I need to, hey, listen, could we do this and do that? And I know we had problems in the past, but I think we passed that now. Okay? And I do feel good about you standing up here as the attorney because I know you're knowledgeable. I've seen your scope of work. I've seen what you've done in the past, despite whatever you and I have gone through. I'm very parent across the board when it comes to just being able to adapt to things. You know what I'm saying? I can adapt to anything. And it's a pleasure having you back because I feel like if we're gonna do anything in terms of legal, this should be the only guy that we're going to. We're not attorneys up here, and she's definitely not an attorney. So anything that we're dealing with in terms of legal situations, it should always be addressed to Attorney Jackson, not Attorney Shepherd. He's on the town side. Now, why he got involved, I have no idea. And I did see the email. But whatever reason he got involved, he should have never got involved. What he should have did was made a phone call to Attorney Jackson. Hey, listen, this is the issue for you. This is not my issue. My issue is dealing with the town only. And then that's where conflicts come in right there. And then that's where the disrespect falls also. Because if I'm the attorney and for the CRA and you guys are calling the town attorney, I'm gonna be offended. Because that's my job. And like he said, he only got 3 invoices. I can only imagine how many Attorney Shepherd has for doing CRA work. You understand me? So I think there's something fundamentally wrong with that, with us sitting here making uneducated decisions on who we should be asking legal questions to. It's obvious. It's him. It's a no-brainer. So why are we sitting here putting ourselves in a position to fall short on a lot of different things other than appointing him to do anything we need to be done? And especially from an executive side, her being a director of the executive, she should be assuring us everything that's going on too legally. You understand me? Because we shouldn't be having this issue. I just got up here, and this issue's been way before I got up here, and we're constantly having the same issue. What it's going to do now, we're going to nip it in the bud. That's what we're going to do. So whatever it is that you have to do, attorney, this board are going to be in agreement, I'm sure. I know I am, to do the right thing. Because we just been sitting on our hands for so long. And who's to blame? Everybody's pointing a finger.
Chair.
Everybody's pointing a finger. I'm still talking, board member.
No, it's like I was getting in the queue.
I'm still
Sorry,
Still speaking. So I say that to say this right here. Let's get it right. Okay? Let's get it right. Instead of sitting here bickering about it and this and that, anytime this board have any concern with the CRA, and it's pretty obvious, speak with Attorney Jackson. If we have a town issue, speak with Attorney Shepherd. Simple. That's my point. So that's all I got for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have been very transparent from day one. So, and I haven't changed yet. And there are reasons I haven't changed. When there was a letter of resignation from a former member of this board, you received that letter, that email, and it was never brought to this board that you had a formal resignation. It wasn't until the resolution and everything was placed on the agenda that, oh, I remember I did receive an email from the former member. However, I thought that as the legal representative, not only should you have made certain that at least the chair knew that there was a formal resignation, but also that a resolution to remove the person and to notify the county that that person was no longer here. That should have been an initiative. When you first came on, and this is not an indictment, I am stating reasons. When you first came on board, earlier you said that you only move according to the board. But when you first came on board, one of your first emails to me was that some of the members wanted an investigation. And you were already making moves on that. It would seem to me that if that was your ideology, then you should have told those members, bring it to the agenda to be discussed, then you move. But I had already started receiving those emails from your conversations with individual members. I don't know who they were, but that's how it was. And had I known you were going to make that comment, I would have had the email. But those are concerns for me. When the Dixon property first became a big issue, I thought that was stalling. You hear that word from me a lot. I thought it was stalling. And I'm just saying that because I don't have a better term for it. But then the attorney that was supposed to come did not come, and someone came in her stead. That attorney, I thought, had a connection. Because who got the attorney? It wasn't the family. Who brought the attorney? And I'm putting this out there. Some of it you can respond to, some of you can't, because I can't give you enough information. But those are still concerns. And those are in line with the same concerns I had when your name was first put in the pot. This is not an indictment against Attorney Shepherd. Anytime Attorney Shepherd was given a CRA issue, he would try to push it back to you. And he'd say, I'm not gonna overstep. He would. But some of the last issues have been issues that needed to be resolved. And according to the charter, not an organizational chart, but the charter, he is the final opinion of the town. And if the agency whose boundary is the whole town, then I think that's very important. So this is not an indictment against another attorney. These are concerns I have just here and now. There was also a public records request I requested November 3rd, I think it was 2023. And the public records request was for a board member. And it was for you. And I wanted y'all's information. You say that you didn't have any emails. But then 2 or 3 requests later, I did receive emails that did exist. Because I've always felt, and I'm just going to be straight honest, I've always felt that some of the confusion that was on this board was caused by actions prior to and even after. I can't prove that, but I truly feel it. And based on some of the emails that I received, I still feel it. And that's not a personal thing. These are situations that actually did occur. So I can't say that's personal. And I don't see that anything has changed. And that is my take.
And if I may real quick, Director Gardner, your and my first time interacting with each other was not when I first came on this board.
I mean,
You're
these concerns when you came.
Well, yes, ma'am, but my first time interaction is when you were a citizen participating and you wanted to go to CRA meetings, and I actually stood up and said that it was appropriate for you to go to CRA meetings as a citizen.
And I held you in high regard.
And that is who I am, and nothing has changed. I think I heard you say that an attorney came and you asked who sent the attorney. The Dixon family has hired an attorney by the name of Veronica Anderson. You can give her a call. She'll tell you that she's been hired by them. She has no connection to me aside from the fact that I've been in the legal community for over 20 years. I used to represent the Black Business Investment Fund some time ago, and she took over as the general counsel of the Black Business Investment Fund, so I know her from there. She goes to my church, but we don't talk business. I did not give her any insight about what was going on. It's widely known what's been going on. So I don't have anything to do with an attorney coming here to speak out for the Dixon family. Any emails that were provided, I don't know what emails you're talking about, to tell you the truth, but if there was anything that was to address a question that I was at, I am not here to garner confusion on this board. I'm just not. And so I apologize if it's something that you saw and you think less of me because of something that you saw, but that's not why I'm here. And I hope that you and I can move forward in some form or fashion. I don't know how, I don't know when. Like I said, even if I'm not sitting here, I've always had respect for you. I think I even put money into your first campaign. So this is not our first time interacting with each other.
In the beginning, we did have very good relationship.
And we still
And
should.
things changed. They have to change back.
Sure, if I may, I'm gonna be short, I promise. I promise, I'm gonna be short. Okay, I overheard, board member, Gardner speaking about, I guess, the attorney for the town being the oversight of the entire town, including CRA, did I hear you correctly?
I said according to the charter.
According to the
final
charter,
decision
but I've always thought that mayor, but I've never seen the language of the attorney. And the only one that actually wrote that charter. So maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I'm just going by what you just spoke about. The attorney being the oversight of all legal in the town,
The final charter.
from the CRA and the,
We just adopted a new charter last election, March.
and that's what the language speaks.
And the town's attorney gave the final say so whenever there is any kind of disconnect or disagreement. The final say so is the town's attorney.
Okay, I definitely gotta look that up, because I didn't see those bylaws. I know, revised it a few times or what have you, but I definitely gotta look that up. Cause I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to that language right there being associated in the new chart, well, the new language of the charter. And,
If
Okay.
anyone, if any council person disagrees,
what I'm saying, I'm just getting up here, it's been up here probably about 2 months now, so if you guys say that's what it is, but of course, I'm gonna look it up myself to see exactly what it is, in terms, in terms of the bylaws or what have you. But I still disagree with any attorney that's representing the town side having any, say so when it comes to CRA. I'm just not in agreement. I don't care if you say he's over the site or whatever, I'm just not in agreement, man. I think you need to stay, and no disrespect to Mr. Sheriff, because I respect him totally, because I think he's very knowledgeable of what he does too. But I think we all need to stay in our own lane. That way we won't have a conflict of interest of who said this or who said that. And that's why I strongly recommend, even if I don't sit up there as a board member, even if we have to go back to an independent board, that we have a separation. That's why I don't recommend councilmen being the board chair or the vice, because it's just too much conflict that carries a load in it. You know what I'm saying? But of course, we made our decisions, and the people are sitting in their proper spots now. But in any event, I just feel like it's just got to be a separation, guys. And I know Board Member Williams brought this interlocal agreement up here, and I'm glad he did, because it's something that we really need to digest and look at and really make some changes on, guys. Like, because we're going to continue having the issue that we're having, because people don't even know what they say in terms of, do I do this or do I do that? And then you got the executive director, kind of lean away on Attorney Jackson making decisions. There's something fundamentally wrong with that also.
But when Mr. Jackson was out, we did have Shepherd Law Firm represent CRA, so that might be an issue that y'all might, because Shepherd did step in for him when he stopped a couple meetings. So, I mean, that's the issue.
Is that when we not?
But I'm saying,
it's different when you don't have an attorney.
But no,
It's totally different.
No, I'm just saying though, Shepherd still have his input on the agency because he said in those meetings. So if anything happened in those meetings that came up, he did have to say something. Because he was the attorney at that time, that his agency.
And speaking on terms of just having an attorney for CRA, I'm not speaking if he's not there and then he's filling in. That has nothing to do with one or the other.
Yeah,
I'm speaking if we got a CRA attorney, right? We shouldn't be going to Attorney Shepherd, hey, could you give me some legal advice on this? Instead of going to the attorney that we have. Like, what's the purpose of him being here?
No, he wasn't at the meeting, so he can't.
I'm just saying if we did have one,
he can't.
regardless if he was there or not.
No, if you don't know what happened in the meeting, how you gonna tell you what happened in the meeting?
I had a press from the other attorney that can go to him.
That's what I said, he addressed it.
What happened that he can bring.
That's what happened. He needed to have a meeting with Shepherd attorney, Ryan, who was in at that time, and pass on information that happened to those meetings. So you want to know what happened?
We gotta be transparent across the board, man. I'm sorry.
Please, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I share and I listen to everyone's opinion and their feedback. First of all, as far as the child is concerned, board member, Garner, you made a, comment about the charter, about some disconnect that gives the town attorney the, authority of the jurisdiction to be over everything when there's a disconnect. I'd sure like to know exactly.
That's their final opinion. It's in the charter, so I do invite you to go back to the charter.
Could you, I need to see that. If somebody can,
Yes.
attorney, if you can show me that language, I definitely appreciate it, because
I had this
for you to sit here and just tell me that, I'm not gonna sit here and say, okay, no, it doesn't work that way. You're gonna have to show me,
Yeah.
show me.
Let me just finish my statement and then let the attorney talk. Okay, also, what is disrespectful is to shop around from attorney to attorney to get what you want. So if we're having issues here, the CRA and director, that goes for you also. You have to first acknowledge and contact our general counsel rather than contacting the town attorney, which is Mr. Shepherd. In order to, we don't want to make it look like you're just shopping around to get what you want it to be and not taking the legal opinion from our CRA legal counsel. That is not right. That is inappropriate. That is not the right way how we should handle the business. And if that's happening, that should not be happening. Okay, also, I want to say that, and I agree, everyone must stay in their lane. Have to stay in their lane, because what happens a lot of times is that we're gonna escalate the cost even higher by not doing what we're supposed to do. Now, I'm just gonna say, this may not have anything to do with it, but the first year, everyone, I know we had issues here with the town. Mr. Shepherd got paid $114,000. I have the information right here. The second year, $54,000. Mr. Greg Jackson received $7,100 according to, I'm sorry, I think it's 17,000, I'm sorry, $77,000. Okay, so you can look at let's just say the amount of work that is being done or the cost associated. So we have to be real careful and make sure that we stay in our lane and not just to be doing something, but something that we can do on our own. So, yeah, I just want to point that out to you. I want to give Mr.
Wait,
Hold on one second. I'm
but please
speaking.
stay right on that, on the building.
Yes,
You stay on that building.
Yeah, I'm going
I
to.
know, look,
Thank
I
you.
know the building has a lot to do with a lot of
On the
things.
building, stay on the building.
Oh, the receipts you just talked about.
Oh, these receipts?
That's what I was talking to.
Yes. So what is your concern?
You need to break down the billing. That billing was high because the members of the council kept calling Attorney Shepherd, asking him to investigate this, look at that. Can I sit down with you for 2 or 3 hours? That's the billing. So you can't just pop out a number. And we're not going to sit here and bash Attorney Shepherd, because we all know that if he was here, he'd have his own side of the story. So if we can't do it in court, we're not going to do it here. I'm sure Attorney Shepherd, and even in some of the stuff you're saying, you received the email. And if you remember, Attorney Shepherd said that at no time did he cross the boundaries. He has always been professional. He's always tried to pull out of it. If Attorney Shepherd stayed in it, that's because of trust. If I don't trust, I'm not shopping around. I'm not going for mom and daddy. I want the best information. And consistently, the information, and I don't have time to sit here and wait, to see how you're gonna spend it. We can't play games. So for me, I go to where I know I am going to trust what I am being told. And please don't sit here and say how much one got paid according to the other. Because if you break those billings down, you'll see just where those charges came from. And I don't think I'm surprised there.
And that's what I said. I said, I realized that we've had some issues. And I realized that some of these things were very, very lengthy, very, in detail. But also, we have to be, I just want everyone just to be aware, just be very conscious, we need to stay in our lane. So in other words, the bottom line is this, if we have CRA issues, it goes to Attorney Jackson.
Unless it's not
Town
being taken care
issue
of.
stays with Mr. Shepherd, Attorney Shepherd. Mr. Shepherd in the same light. Mr. Jackson should be saying, we got these town issues, then you need to go to Mr. Shepherd. So that's all in due respect, and I'm quite sure that that's something that what needs to happen here. And that's all I'm saying here.
I said something, to Mr. Sheriff one night that, I'm getting paid. And I told him, you get paid enough, we don't need to do nothing unless it's in the meeting. And that's the reason I said that, because seeing those invoices, and I have those invoices still in the notebook by this bit of phone calls that board members, council members was calling this man up. And I was like, this is crazy. 0.25, he charging. He sat there and said, they called 0.25.
Emails.
And it's like, I can tell you the name. Your name's in there too. It's going down. It's going down the road. So I was like, no, it's more than that. I'll bring it next week. But yeah, I will, because I was like, this is too much. And that's why I told Shepherd that you eat enough, you good, you eat enough, because I was joking with him, but I was serious though. I know he was getting a big check from us calling him for special this, investigate this, investigate that. So he definitely have a big bill. So I agree with you.
Attorney Jackson.
Yeah, and I'm gonna read the section from the charter, but I also want to point out, I get the calls, I just don't charge for every call, and I don't charge for every email.
Right.
And things like that. I understand, different people do different things different ways, and that's fine. I mean, I guess that makes me a poor businessman, but I don't charge for every single thing that comes across. But to your question, Board Member Mack, it states that there shall be a town attorney appointed by the town council. The attorney shall be appointed and may be removed by a simple majority vote of the council and shall be a member in good standing of the Florida Bar. The town council shall serve as chief legal advisor to the council, the mayor, and all town departments, offices, and agencies, shall represent the town in legal proceedings, and shall perform any other duties prescribed by state law, by this charter, or by ordinance. So it says the town.
Thank you for the clarity.
Now, I had communication with Attorney Shepherd about this also. And what I told him was, and I didn't see any response, but what I told him was, I said, in the absence of there being a general counsel, then yes, I will agree. As a town attorney, you should be able to perform all of those duties, but when the agency has retained a general counsel per their bylaws, and also per Florida statute, at 163, 356, paragraph 3, section C. And it tells you that a CRA can hire a legal advisor or legal counsel for its own purposes. So when you have that, if you didn't have a general counsel, then yes, I would agree the town attorney can stand in that place. And to that regard also, Board Member Washington, I've also done work for the town. When Shepherd was conflicting on the issue, I represented the town, went to court for the town because the town approved me to do that. And I was actually able to get a good result for the town. So we do switch from time to time. But once that specific task is due, I didn't talk to him about time. I just reported to him about this is over with, and that was it, and we were done.
Thank you for that.
Okay. All right, we can move on to number 6. Discussion of CRA finance.
Thing we'll elaborate.
If we kind of discussed it, would you agree?
Yeah, so we just.
Yeah. You had it right now.
Oh, okay. All right, next we have the board's decision. And before I do that, we have a add-on from Councilman.
Yes, it's in the back. It's actually on here.
It's on this one.
It's on here. It's on the minute. Yeah, it's on the.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, next we have the board decisions. Number 7. Our town clerk. Read the preamble, please.
Resolution CRA 2024-17, that resolution of the Board of Directors of Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOFRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors approving a demolition assistance program funding agreement with property owners of 114 Washington Avenue in the amount of $3,192.50. Let me correct that, $3,192.50, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, you heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
So,
It has been moved by Board Member Mack and second by Board Member Daniels. Are you ready for the question? Any questions? concerns?
yeah,
After hearing some of the, citizen participation, I'm just wondering if we want to discuss this further before we vote, or if we want to consider taking.
That was in regards to item number 8, not number 7.
Oh, I apologize, it's a demolition, my apologies, I retract my question. I understand my question, please.
No problem. And then I do have a question after you all are done voting.
Is there anyone else? Okay, are you ready to vote?
it's motion on the floor.
This motion
It's been seconded.
motion on the floor has been properly second.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all those in favor? Any opposes? All right, thank you.
So I'd like to ask the board, and obviously motions can be taken from the floor. This particular program is $5,000, up to a $5,000 program. I'm requesting if the board will allow, if we have a complete application, if the administrative office, the administration can approve it rather than it coming to the board. Because in this, and I'll use this one as an example, they wanted to do it sooner rather than later after they heard about the demolition assistance. The fiscal policy does allow for the administration to spend up to $25,000 without coming before the board. And because each of these demolition assistants are up to $5,000, I'm asking if the board would consider that we can internally process these applications, or does every single demolition assistance have to come to the board? And what I would do is I just bring it I'd bring it in my monthly report if the board agrees.
No,
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 we're not in agreement with that. Totally.
But why would we?
That's my conviction.
Yeah.
And then I just told you, it's my conviction. I'm not in agreement with that.
Me personally, I would prefer to have them all come before the board in the event that there's any conflict. So if for any reason a member of this board may need to remove themselves from the vote due to potential conflict, they would have the opportunity to do so versus being represented by a decision that was made on behalf of the board. Just me personally, that would be my reasoning for wanting to have them all come.
So thank you for sharing, but there wouldn't be a vote. Yeah, thank you, there wouldn't be a vote. So would that be even more unbiased? Because I don't think Ms. Rose would know everyone that I know or you know.
I'm not in
You
agreement
know,
with
so
that.
if it's followed, and I understand, but now I'm speaking just from my point. I mean, some of this, you're saying wait a whole nother month. You know, I'm thinking of the time frame, the time in between. You're talking a whole nother month. If someone's ready to demolish something, all their paperwork is in order, the program has been approved, they follow all the guidelines. I mean, putting in a report, this is who the program helped. It seems to me that takes all of us out.
And the other part of it is I want, go ahead, Vice Chair.
So basically, the executive director will bring us a report every meeting on the different,
Who gets it?
on the different program.
Otherwise, we're saying that y'all can get it, y'all can get it, and that doesn't make sense to me. If she has a complete application, you know,
If it's within the program's criteria,
all the perimeters.
you know what I mean? You shouldn't need to vote if you got the budget. I mean, that's me.
And that's what she's asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, I would feel more comfortable to look at the documents first. And as a board member to decide what would be, what I would consider to be something that we want to fund. I would like to be given that opportunity because we are spending the taxpayers' money. I want to be very conscious about what we're doing.
But if it's a blighted area, which I rode by before I came to the meeting. Actually, I was in the parking lot. I said, hold on, I need to go to Lincoln and Washington Street, which is in your neighborhood. And saw the two properties, you know, and I'm like, okay, I know who this house, you know, used to live here. The one we're talking about demo on, it's been vacant for quite some time, you know what I mean? So why not?
My reason for it is this right here, for a lot of reasons, really. Environmental testing, you know, to see if it's safe. That's the question that will.
All of that need to be in that need to be part of the program, you know what I mean?
Thank you. But I'm gonna speak on that, a little later on.
Right.
Because we don't know if it's getting done or not, you understand me? So if we don't have it in front of us, stating that it's been tested for, you know, lead, paint, or what have you, we're not gonna know. And then if something does get demolished and something, you know, happens, right, in our community, that would spread and be harmful, for instance, what are we gonna do? We're gonna be liable?
I got a question. Who absorbs that cost? You saying environmental, who absorbs that? The
Developers.
Huh?
The developers.
That's what I
So-
yeah.
So one thing that
No, I thought it was us. No, I'm just saying on like for the.
No, but I'm saying, no, but to protect us, the town,
The
you understand me? No? We
So
do.
one thing to add, an environmental
We do.
residential,
You tell me the developers?
with
Come on, man.
residential, hold on, with residential
I thought you
demolition. With residential demolition, according to Universal Engineering, there is not a requirement for an environmental test.
Are you
That
gonna have to
is-
show me that?
Okay, well, we'll get documentation.
I need it now. Can you pull it up now? Attorney, could you get that information now?
And can we allow each other to finish what we can? And then I would yield to you to speak, please.
Okay, I'll apologize.
So in this instance, even with this, so a few things. So a demolition permit is issued by Universal Engineering Services. And they follow Florida state statutes and what Florida state statutes say. So at no point in this report and at no point in this program are we saying that anyone has to turn in anything, because it is their personal property. And that's what, they do what they desire based on their commitment and their contract with the demolition company.
No,
So
but
even bringing forward any demolition items, it is a responsibility of the property owner and the demolition company to come to their terms and whatever those terms are. And so that is in conjunction with an actual demo permit that's pulled with Universal Engineering Services. So right now you all have a funding agreement request right in front of you, and there is nothing about environmental, because that's between the property owner, their demolition company, as well as the permitting department. All we're doing is assisting the owner with with the demolition of their property.
It's kind of news to me because I've never heard such a thing, but like I said, I referenced my question to attorney, so I would definitely rather I appreciate you, but I'd rather get it from legal, while we can be you know, consistent with being correct, if that's the case. So I don't know exactly how long it'll take. We can go through the process and whatever we need to do and come back to it. It's just a question anyway, so.
Okay, we've already voted for number 7. So any other questions after that? I guess we can come back at the next meeting to address those concerns. Okay, thank you. All right, number 8. Yes.
Resolution CRA-R 2024-18, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eastville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOFRA, Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors approving a septic to sewer funding agreement at 41 Lincoln Boulevard in the amount of $3,990, conflict, severability, and effective date.
Okay, you have heard the preamble. We have a motion.
So move.
Second
It's
with
been
discussion.
moved by-
Yeah, with discussion also.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Is
Correct.
there any questions?
Yes, I'm gonna let the board member correct.
On the wrong item, just, do we want to consider tabling this, or do we want to maybe discuss it a little bit more before we decide to move forward based off the concerns of the citizens that spoke during citizen participation?
Well, my thoughts on it is, I think this is a very unique situation that we're dealing with right here. A lot of people don't know the story of it. If they did, I think you have a different opinion. But in this particular item right here, for the $3,900, it's a situation with a septic tank, which is really not our concern, right, in a sense. But I think with the same token, you gotta put yourself in the situation like this right here. And I know I've heard some people get up there and speak on, whatever their opinion was about it, but I think moving forward, this item right here is pretty sensitive, if you ask me personally, because this is a health risk in the community. Also, that can sit, and like you said, it's a grant that is up to $5,000. It's not even the $5,000 that we're actually spending. It's only $3,900, roughly $4,000. So I think we need to definitely dot our i's, cross our t's, and make a conviction that would make us sleep at night, also dealing with this particular situation right here. Like I said, I can only vote for myself. I can't vote for nobody else on this panel. But I say that to say this right here. It's a sensitive situation that has been going on for quite some time now. This hasn't just occurred overnight. And I can recall another situation that I had when I sat on this board, not this particular board, but for the town, that reflected on something similar. You know what I'm saying? And for me to be an elected official in this community, whether I'm on the board or serving as a town council member, it's my job to make sure that my people are safe at all times. Not sometimes, not when I want to, at all times. And if we sit here and make a decision not to do what's right as a board or as a community, shame on us. Because this situation right here, they didn't ask for it, right? And I know a lot of times it's not our issue, it's not our problem, but if you can help somebody, like they say, help somebody, right? So that's why I stand on it with that. Now, everybody's gonna make their condition on how they wanna move on it, but I'm totally in agreement with this, $3,900 going towards this particular project, while we won't have the problem that we've been having for some time now. And that's all I got.
Okay,
May I say this one thing?
yes.
I think we need to table it for one. If it's not in the plan, can't do it. Far as I know, fixing, plumbing and septic system, I don't believe is in the plan. I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I think if you do this one, there's gonna be a lot of.
No, but we only got,
It's gonna be.
but if I can say this, we only got 5 septic tanks in the town of Eatonville. That, and one that we're having an issue
But
with.
it's plumbing.
Excuse me.
If you do this one, it's gonna be others. Far as having plumbing issues, that's gonna want the same program,
I understand
but
that.
it's not part of the plan.
But
You
So-
understand?
like I said, you got your different opinion, just like I got my different opinion. Board Member Williams.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your different opinion, just like I got mine.
Then the family came up here and there is some legality situation as far as title and whatnot on that particular home. If the individual that's
Do we know
applying.
that for certain?
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Can I?
I've done my homework on that.
Can I enter?
It is. It is. So there's some legality situation with that property. So the individual that's applying for this assistance is really not entitled to that assistance because they don't own the property.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I understand about helping people, but we have to do things in order.
Listen, if I can get
You know what I
that,
mean?
if I can get those documents, that was great.
I want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to voice their opinion or their concerns about any issues that we have. So we'd like to try to do it in an orderly manner. To yield to, Mr. Donovan, are you done?
Oh, I'm done. I mean, I just pull
Okay.
it up. I mean, this.
Can I interject really quickly? So this isn't about a plumbing issue. So this is one of the homes that when the town went from septic to sewer, this is one of the homes that did not get the opportunity. And currently we have an individual who is on dialysis, who's living in this home, and they do not have a toilet use. So what we are doing is providing an assistance to a resident to improve their quality of life. This has nothing to do with plumbing issues. It's actually that that their current septic tank is broken. So there is a lateral line. There is a lateral line that's in the street. So what the CRA would be doing is doing a home improvement to improve the quality of life for a taxpayer within the town.
Okay, great, thank you. I want to yield to, one of our residents.
I wonder if you have to come to the. Like, excuse me, you have a question for residents, it's not in this dialogue. It's up to the board, it's up to the doctors right now.
I do have a.
Wait till the board finish, you wanna speak up?
Okay, you got, is anyone else want?
I guess this is in relation to the statements that were made. If the owner is willing and is going to sign up on the paperwork,
Won't do it.
then it would be the owner that is saying okay to this. Because otherwise we're making improvements to someone's property without their approval, and that could be an issue. So if the owner is willing to sign up on the documents, then I see it as how we could fix this safety issue, because I'm aware of it. But if the owner is not going to sign off, then I don't see it as being something that we can even approach.
All right, Board Member Washington.
Well, regardless if I don't know who the owner is on this property. Do we know?
It's on the.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's on tax roll.
I don't have a tax roll.
No, she was in the, it was in the package. It was in the package.
Okay. So the thing is, so she don't, my thing is this here. Okay,
You have one in?
the house has to be on city sewer. Has to be. Oh, you're gonna keep paying that sewage bill regardless if you own it or not. But the thing is, tie this house into the sewer line. That's the biggest thing we have. Regardless, you're gonna own it, if you're not gonna own it, but the house need to be, matter of fact, we condemn the house. The town can condemn it, because they don't have running the sewer. Honestly, whoever owns it. So we can do the right thing and fix this sewer, because it has to be on, because every house is supposed to be on city sewer. Or just leave like that in order and get code enforcement to condemn the house. Nobody live in the house. So whatever y'all want to do, we got one or the other. Get on the sewer line, or we condemn the house without proper sewer.
Board Member Daniels.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I had an opportunity to look at the application, and that was one of the main things that stood out. The applicant and the apparent home owner were two different people. So then in the packet, it included the estate. And when you look at the definition of estate, is an extensive area of land in the country, usually with a large house owned by one person, family, or organization. And that's the problem I had with that. And I sent 4 questions to the executive director, and this is the problem that I'm having. I asked, my first question was, the applicant and property owner are two different people. May I have the names or name of the association with the estate found on the property appraisers in our packet? And the executive director sent back, the properties in the estate and the owner listed on the application has a will with their name on it, and I have received a copy. It gave me nothing to say who is in ownership or who owns the property. I asked that particular question to get so that we can ask that person, is it okay with you if you want to switch to sewer? Because obviously for this amount of time, they've been on septic and not said a word. And according to Board Member Mack, there's 5 other homes that are on septic as well. Yes. And I'm saying, and one of the other questions was, they had to know, they can't come now and say, oh, y'all, you should have tied this in, because that septic tank had to be dumped at some time. You're not gonna tell me that it has not been dumped and someone, and that person knows that you're on septic and you paid to have that dumped and you're paying your sewer. If not, then you would have came a long time ago and said, hey, I want to get tied in. My other question was, if that thing broke on our side of the property line, I think that we would be or have an obligation to do it, but it broke on the property owner side. And like, I agree with Board Member Williams that you barking up a tree that a lot of people are gonna say, well, it broke on my side, but I want y'all to pay for it because I'm not tied into it, or whatever this situation may be. I am in favor of helping, but we gotta come up with another way in this. The paperwork was wrong. I don't agree with the executive director on how she did it and her answers to my questions. I'm really dissatisfied with those. I would be in favor of some type of loan to show that you fill out this app, you qualify for this loan, you're a resident, we tie you in that way. And I talked to the CAO, he did say that it is a statute that says that it requires the town and just to connect the homeowners to connect to our sewer. So are those other four, are we gonna say, hey, you're not gonna be on that dime, you gotta connect? Because it's a Florida statute.
It should have
that
been
says it.
connected.
But I'm saying.
Maybe they're not having the issue that this particular person.
The responsibility that it falls on, that's what I'm saying. I'm in favor of trying to help them, but I think it should be some type of loan and not just, they just give you $4,000 that we don't have to, that's not out of our pockets.
But it's a program that's available.
And get the property owner to agree with it, of the estate, whoever that person may be, the president of that estate. We can't go by this application. And like I said, that's why I'm not satisfied with how the executive director went about getting this on the
Okay, can I,
agenda.
because I'm next. I give everybody an opportunity. Okay, in my research, I looked at all the paperwork. First of all, we have to acknowledge that this property is, needs probate. Okay, the person who had owned the property has been deceased for a while. And according to the information that I received today from a relative, and her name is Tammy O'Hara. And she explained to me in detail the problems that they are having with the property. First of all, Miss Kathy Mills is not one of the heirs to the property. However, she completed paperwork on the behalf of this property because her son lives on the property. Okay, now, Mrs., I think her name's Nevermore. Okay, when she passed away, according to Mrs. O'Hara, she has either 2 or 3 names that are listed on her will. Those are the heirs to this property. Mrs. Mundy, during the time that this came up the first time, Mrs. Mundy said it wasn't a problem with the septic tank, it was a problem with a broken pipe. That is exactly what she said, and I value the opinion of Mrs. Mundy. So it's not on the town side, it's on the side of the people who are occupying that particular property. The town is in no way responsible to do any kind of connection for those residents for that, unless they want to pay for it. That's fine, but it's not our responsibility to do that. Yeah. And I understand decisions were made probably back in the 60s or the 70s. They gave everyone in the town of Edenville, if you wanted to be on town sewer, you had the option to do it. Some people did it and some people didn't do it. So is that the town's responsibility because they decided they didn't want to do it? My opinion is no, it's not the town's responsibility. It's their responsibility. So what I had advised Mrs. O'Hara, so you can go see an attorney, but first I asked, who is the executor of the estate? They don't have one. Okay, so now you got a problem.
Right. We can help, bro. Huh? We can help. You're on the wheel, right?
No, I didn't say we. I mean, I said we meaning I was talking to her.
Oh.
I was talking to her. Your name is Mrs. O.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, I just wanted to yield that, and I asked who has the authority. I asked all these questions here, so before we can go out and just assume something, and I realize that we want to do as much as we can to help our residents. I'm all for that. I'm all for that, but we got to do it the right way. We have to do it according to the law and to what we abide by.
But you guys are speaking about the law and all this. Now, rightfully so, if we don't do this, the house need to be, like, Board Member Washington said, condemned. It doesn't have any running water, okay? The water is not working in this house, right? So I thought maybe in good faith of this board, right? Regardless of, you know, whatever's in front of us, right? We know things happen all the time. You know, we got the law over here, we got the law over here saying you can do this. The people that are actually living in the house are on the wheel. You understand me? So whomever it was that owned the house, right? Left them on the wheel. It's almost like they're the owner because they're a part of the wheel, right? So why would we sit here and go against anything that's concerning someone's health? This man is on dialysis. He's not having running water. Can't do a lot of things. You can't live without water. You understand that? So if we're gonna sit here as leaders in this community and turn our cheek to what's going on right now, shame on us. Like seriously though. And I get what everybody's saying from a legal point or whatever, or look this up. But sometimes in life, you have to do the right thing, especially with this particular person being on the wheel of this particular property. And we got the grant that's available. They ain't even getting a whole $5,000. They're only getting $3,900. But it doesn't matter though, like, listen, but have a heart, man. At the end of the day, have a heart. At the end of the day.
My whole thing.
Listen,
Excuse me one
I'm
second.
sorry, I'm sorry.
I want to.
I get what you said, Carl. I heard.
Director Clinton an opportunity, and
What, is there some kind of,
No,
some type of way about it or something?
my first home, I lived in the city of Orlando, had septic. They came and ran sewer laterals all the way through my neighborhood. But they told each and every homeowner, you can connect now, all right, for a small fee. Listen to me now, for a small fee, which I had
People
septic.
didn't have a lot of money back then.
I had septic. So based on what I'm saying, you can, what they say, you can pay over time, so to speak, to be connected through the city. Or if I decline to, which I did, if anything happened to my drain field system, it cost me a whole lot more money. They gonna find me and make me, paying at their fee at that, whatever it was at that time. So that's,
All right,
so
so
we
if we're
have
not
to
gonna,
maintain that system.
if we're not gonna move in the direction of doing it this way, I'm with Board Member Daniels. We gotta do something. Rather we table it, come back to it, but it's gotta be something quick because these people need water. And give them a loan for the $3,900 that's gonna consist of fixing this issue. If they're in agreement with it. And I'm pretty sure they'll be in agreement with it because they don't have any running water. Regardless if we're gonna give them a grant or do it on a loan. So, but my opinion is just to give them the grant. Like, it's here, it's available, it's on the wheel. What are we doing? I know it's a unique situation. It's a very unique situation. But like, come on, man. Like, seriously, like, put yourself in these people's shoes. A lot of people don't do that because you're so fortunate. Most people, you know what I'm saying? These people are unfortunate and they probably can't even pay the loan. Saying you're trying to go in the direction of paying the loan. Listen, man, there's something fundamentally wrong with the leadership. If you guys go in a different direction of doing something of this magnitude by being so disingenuous by not doing this.
Directly, I'm not trying to cut you off, but.
But you can't cut me off from speaking.
Yes, you can, and she hasn't been trying to Miss Briggsy.
Can I finish? Then I'll let you speak. One minute. I'm finna let you speak, but you can't just
I'm
sit
not
there and
cutting-
bluntly just cut me
No, I
off.
wasn't cutting you off. I was reminding you that prior to your speaking, Director Critton had been recognized.
But you can't speak for it either.
I acknowledge all the issues tied into this. my main concern, and this is directly to you, Attorney Jackson, is wondering if you can speak to give us guidance on how to properly approach this subject. And my concern is that if we do something without moving properly in the legal aspect, that we bring some sort of, you know, burden on ourselves. So yes, go eating villains and all of that, but I don't want this to backfire on us in any capacity. So if there is a way that we can move forward appropriately, I would like to know. So specifically, when there is not an executor or a personal representative listed on an estate, or when the representatives listed in a will have not retitled the deed to a home, do they have the authority to make these decisions?
If they are on a deed, are you asking if they're on the deed, do they have that ability?
If they're not listed on the
Right, if
deed?
they're not listed on the deed, then they're not recognized as owners.
And then do we suffer any repercussions or consequences as a result, potentially, of making this decision if someone is listed as an executor or someone is listed as a personal representative and they come back and they decide that this wasn't something that they wanted for their property?
If you do something on someone's property without their permission, there is potentially legal recourse against the agency for acting without the permission of the owner of that premises.
Thank you for the clarification. I would like to further add that me personally, it is always my intention to do the right thing for our residents in every capacity and every opportunity that we have, not selective. Thank you.
Director Washington.
You know, I think our thing is the town need to do what they need to do on their end, putting the ladder there for that property owner. And that will have nothing to do with us, put this money here, so the town need to go in and put the ladder in so they can tie into whenever they want to, if that's what this board want to do, so. We need to talk,
CRA?
but the town gotta do it anyway, town has to, anytime someone builds a house, the town has to put in the ladder in the water line to there. Now you up to get to that point there to your house, that's on you. So we'll put it here, you put your pipes to your sewer. So that's what the town need to do, not CRA, so that's what I said.
But they already have the town.
The towns are.
They see theirs.
They put the ladder in?
Who says already
They
there?
see theirs.
It ain't cut in yet, it's the ladder running down the road, it's not there yet. There's no pipes sticking up, no PVC pipes sticking in that.
Oh,
Right,
that's
right.
sticking up.
No,
So,
it's not done yet. They have broke ground, broke cement, broke the road, nothing yet, so.
Okay.
So what if we go down the direction of doing a loan, if that's what they want?
it's
So-
hard.
1 second, let's yield to, Director Gardner.
And so, and I'm going back to what I said initially. If the owner of the property is willing and that person will sign up on the paperwork, you don't hold harmless for the town, then not only, and I want to also take the Paul, not the Paul, but this is where this should be brought. This is a safety issue. The CRA, this falls under the auspices of the CRA. The director brought it because I asked for it. Because that way we can go ahead and talk about it, discuss it, and come to an agreement. Because the person who brought it before us is reaching out. She was reaching out. So that's why I was brought. So please do not blame the director for it. I mean, this is what we're about. So why blame anyone? So if we get a hold harmless and if the owner is willing to sign up on it, then I think we should be okay with doing it. If we want to put some sort of long-term installment plan, fine, but or we just put a lien that falls off in 5 years. You know, a no payback lien. You know, that's I mean that way it'll solve both issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Since everyone has spoken, I would like to yield to Mrs. O'Hara. Did you want to say?
Yeah,
something?
let me.
Thank you, for allowing me to put this woman here. I'm the granddaughter of Miss Rita Lowry. She was the sole owner of that property, which the back got along wrong. The will was set up. She left myself as the executive of her will. She left the will in place for my mother
my auntie Nicholas as the third owner of that house. My mother is deceased. After my grandmother passed, I put my mom in the house. My mother is deceased. Now my auntie, which is my grandmother's daughter, she's the owner, the second owner on that will. Once my auntie passed, then it goes to Nicholas. It does not get to Nicholas until once my auntie's passed. My auntie don't want to have anything to do with the house. So what we need to do now, listen to what you all are saying. If we tried taking this to probate when my grandmother died, the family issue goes on, we couldn't get an agreement. So now listen to what is going on. I have to get something legal in place here so some decisions can be made on this house going forward. I'm gonna take this back to my auntie and explain to her what needs to be done, and maybe we come into a consensus here or how we gonna handle this and go from there. I wish we could table this and come back to it. And now, as far as the issue about demolishing the house, now I even know the house didn't have any water. The issue about demolishing it because it's not hooked up to the city. I heard you say some. Condemn it, okay, correct, condemn it. I heard you say 4 other houses in the city, so if you're gonna do that one on Lincoln Avenue, are you gonna do the other? So I'm asking the board to give us a minute to let the family come together, let me get with my auntie and explain to her that we're gonna have to take some recourse and make a decision to go forward. Cause I didn't know the house didn't have water in it. And the way it's stand now, the person that's my nephew who's living in the house, just basically taking advantage that, oh, I got somewhere to stay, but not stepping up to the plate to do what you need to do to really take ownership of this house. Now, as far as the city coming in here, taking care of his plumbing problem, I think that's the homeowner's problem. I agree, I pay taxes too. I live in an apartment. I pay my homestead. I have my own property. I pay my taxes like everybody else. And if someone want to come and pay my bill, fine with it. But if I have to work and pay bills and taxes, I think everybody else do it too. That includes my family member. So like I said, I'm gonna take this back to my auntie and explain to her that we're gonna have to go ahead and probate this property the way it needs to be done.
This auntie didn't want nothing to do with it?
No, she don't want, because she don't.
Yeah, she said auntie didn't want nothing to do with it, right?
Right,
And she said Nicholas was next.
right.
So if she don't want to do with it, so Nicholas stepped up and said, I need to get this plumbing fixed. So we talking to Nicholas or we gonna be, so it's.
You should be talking with me because Nicholas is not gonna come out here and park it. That's where we at now. It's not gonna reach, that's why we couldn't probate the house. Because my mother and my auntie and Nicholas was these the lawyers, these the probate. Nicholas don't wanna come out with nothing, so we feel like, why should we carry this? But ultimately, how it's gonna go to you when my auntie dies. So it's a family issue that we need to deal with. We have to be understood that if you want this house, this is what you got to do in order to get this house. We're not gonna sit here and pay for this so you can live in that free. If you live in, he has his residence in Catalina Park with his mother. And for Miss Mills to step into it to try to get help for her son, it have nothing to do with this person.
Personal.
It's a personal family matter. And I feel so bad that she brought this in here. It's a family matter, it is.
Very personal. We can table it.
Personal
They're
matter.
asking that you take.
Table and come back to it.
We got one on the floor.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Are we saying?
We motion to rescind.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we got a motion to rescind.
I rescind my motion.
And the second, within the second.
And second,
Yes.
second by Director Clinton to rescind the motion. Now, we want a motion to take.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, it was a motion moved by, which one?
It was moved by myself.
By Clinton
Second by board member.
and second by Daniels, Board Member Daniels.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposers? Okay, thank you.
Chair, before we move forward, I have a question for the executive director regarding this, since we will probably see it again. Can we incorporate some of the things that were mentioned tonight when we can bring this back? So that we can move forward cohesively, so that we have all the information that we need, potentially look at some loan programs, some lien programs, some guidelines, when we move forward?
Yeah, we'll yield that to the executive director.
Please, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You ready? Thank you. Okay, next, number 9.
Resolution CRA twenty-four 19. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOFRA. Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors approving special event funding in the amount of $2,500 for conflict, severability, and effective date.
You all have before you the packet, an event that took place within the town. It is typical of CRAs to sponsor, special events that are being hosted, and you all have the request in front of you, as well as a sample packet of other special event funding programs in other municipalities from CRAs across this region. They're not just Orlando, it's places like St. Cloud. So it is typical, and I wanted to, because that was one of the questions that came up, if CRAs do special event funding. So that is before you all tonight.
Okay. Do we have a motion? So it was moved by Board Member Mack. Second discussion. Second.
My only question is, are we creating a budget line item for this, or are we taking this from programming and grants, which is where former quote unquote special events look like they have potentially been funded? Are we creating something, or?
So 2 things are happening tonight. Under line item 4,800 promotional activities. I would request that it come from that, and then there's a subsequent agenda item where I'd like to actually create the line item. So that particular one with this agenda item is from 4,800 that says promotional activities.
For this specific application, correct? And then moving
Correct.
forward, the
I'm
subsequent
requesting-
line item that you're mentioning?
Yeah, I'm requesting later on in the agenda for us to actually have a budget line item with the whole process. Because what happens is that since I've been here, this has been my first special event. No one else, and in full transparency, prior to me receiving this application, no one else had put in a request, and ultimately, this is my first one.
I just have to make certain that it's not only in the budget, but it's in our plan. I know you said this is typical of CRAs. Is it in our CRA plan?
When you say the 1997 plan?
Yes, to make certain that it is in a specific, it can be.
Attorney Jackson.
Chair?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I actually did an opinion memo on this last year with regards to how funds can be used for different things like that. It can be used for special events such as this, but it has to follow certain criteria per the plan. It has to promote the CRA area and the CRA district. So there has to be something that promotes and shows the Community Redevelopment Agency for the town of Eatonville as a part of this, and to promote what the CRA or what the TOFRA is doing. So just as long as that takes place and the board approves, the memo that I drafted last year again would support it, but it has to follow that specific criteria. And again, that is based under goal 3 of the 1997 CRA plan, which is still in effect.
For transparency, it was in all promotional items, the CRA logo was on it.
Yeah, and I emphasized this at the last meeting, when we were given training, that's one of the things that they mentioned in the training, is to make sure that if you have any type of special events, promotion events, that we also must make sure that we promote CRA programs and things for the public, because you may have people from the area, from the residents, from the community that will come to a pre-event, and they're there to pick up information on housing, like the paint program, et cetera. And you can have these kinds of things, but it can't be just having a festival and having a good time. So,
Did we?
yes. Now, my concern about this particular item is that this item was on the May 16th agenda, which that meeting was postponed or canceled. So when I questioned and asked Mr. Presley about that particular item, because I could not get in contact with you, Mrs. Rose, he has stated to me that this particular event on Saturday was paid by private funding or private donations. And that only $800 was used or subtracted from Councilman Washington's account. Is that accurate? That's accurate. Okay. So right now, what are you asking for this particular item? Because the event has already it's already gone. So this wouldn't be applicable. Is that correct?
That's
What happened in the past?
That's not the way that the recommended for the special event funding would be, it'd be post event, and it would be your request, you put your request in, we approve it, and then subsequent to the event, if you provide the materials and everything after the event happened, it would be reimbursement.
Yeah, I understand that, but the issue is that we did not approve this. It was not approved. I understand what you're saying, but this here was on the schedule to be approved at the May 16 meeting, and it was not approved. So I can't approve something that is already passed. Now that's
Saying for reimbursement. I just think, yeah,
reimbursement to who? To you?
No, not for me, no, the nonprofit. Foundation.
All I'm saying is I'm gonna make it very plain.
$1,700.
This was not approved. It was on the agenda to be approved. So we are approving something that has already happened. It's in the past. So we're responsible. No, that's not what I'm saying. I understand that portion. The event, this item number 9 was not approved before the board.
But it was like, I guess,
We discussed it. We discussed it on May, when was it? Whatever meeting that was.
so we didn't approve for the reimbursement.
We didn't.
We never
discussed this.
Okay, we never discussed it, but that's the reason why would we approve something that we never discussed?
But it's not approved yet. We're trying to.
I know we haven't, and I'm not gonna approve it.
That's your vote. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's your vote.
Yes.
That's your vote. The thing is,
But
I'm
it's
saying,
already-
saying the reimbursement.
Actually had a meeting on the 16th.
But we should have that meeting on the 16th to take care of these issues, and that did not happen.
None of this stuff got approved last meeting. We just approved some of the stuff tonight. That was on the agenda from last week, the last meeting.
Yeah,
So what's the difference from number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10 that we had on him last week? The meeting got canceled. What's the difference?
The event is already over.
But then you go.
But we had an event and we did not approve the event.
We agree with that. I think everybody agree with that. Then. It's at in front of us now, though. That's what you got to look at.
I understand that.
Question two.
I was gonna ask a question first to the attorney, and secondly, with an event like this, knowing that it was coming up, should have had a special meeting. Should have been polled, and everybody should be polled to see if they can make it to at least vote on this, because I agree with Chair, like this has already happened. I saw that, and I was like, it's already happened, so what are we voting for? Like, somebody talk or something, everybody's always saying sunshine law. I'm just saying, sunshine law, do we know we're gonna approve this? Because if we don't, then what are the business owners gonna do that invested their monies in it? So if we don't approve it, it won't be in the red or the negative. I thought it should have been a special polling to ask us if we can come out before this special May 24th, before May 25th, so we can vote and then get it approved or the reimbursement or whatever ahead of time, and it wasn't. Now, Attorney Jackson, what are your opinion on an event that has already happened, now is on the agenda to be having funding approved? Because I'm not in favor of it as well.
That would be completely up to this board as to how they would want to address that. If they want to look at it in retrospect as a reimbursement versus an approval of funds prior to an event. If the board wants to view it as a reimbursement, the board has the ability to do that. If the board decides that they don't want to look at this as a reimbursement, the board has the opportunity to do that as well.
I think we just reimburse whoever it is that paid for the event that you had on Saturday and be done with it. It's not like, to me, it's not a big deal. Like, the money is already there, right, and available. We supposed to have a meeting that we didn't have because it was postponed and canceled. So now we're here on the 30th having a meeting when we should have had it 2 weeks ago. But rather than the other, we gotta go ahead and just take care of it. You know what I'm saying? It's already been done. It had the CRA logo on there saying that they actually funded it, right? Even though it was up to $800 that he used on his own budget on his town side. But we're just reimbursing the people that actually helped him out in a sense, because we was in a unique situation by not having a meeting before his event. So I think we gotta think about all those particular things that took place in retrospect to what's going on now. So that's just my opinion. Like I said, I'm only one vote. But I think, again, let's do the right thing. Let's be leaders up here and just move forward.
The only thing I'll say, Member Mack, is that then the wording of the motion needs to be amended. Because we've been funded for a special event on May 25th, 2024. What you're doing is you're approving, if this is the board's design, you're approving reimbursement for funds of an event that occurred on May.
So that's the language that we need to associate and move forward. So now I guess we'll have to rescind if this is what this board
You
desires.
could just amend it.
Okay, so just amend the motion.
You want to amend the motion for approval for a special event on May the 25th.
For reimbursement,
For reimbursement. The reimbursement amount will be for how much?
$1,700. If he spent $800 his own dollars, right?
I don't have the budget. You got to talk to the coordinator, promotion.
Director,
She'll have a budget for Ms. Rose, I don't know.
you know what the amount for the reimbursement?
2,500.
No, but, well, I guess if we do that, you just have to get $800 back to the town. If that's what we're
No,
gonna
for
do.
the reimbursement, if the reimbursement is for how much? When we subtract $800 from Councilman Washington's budget. So that was
$1,700. Yeah.
okay. We're gonna amend item number 9 for approval for $1,700 for the May 25th event, special event.
Already been
You
moved.
got a motion?
It's been moved.
Okay, second.
With question with.
We have a second?
For the sake of the record. Who moved it?
I moved it.
Any questions?
Go ahead, you, ladies first.
And my question is this, did this have to come before the board?
No, I was doing my due diligence because of the amount. I was doing my due diligence and bringing it to the board. Fiscal policy, and this is something that I think we really need to have a larger conversation as we're looking at our bylaws. The current bylaws and the current bylaws state that I can spend up to $25,000 as long as I have the proper quotes. And for certain activities in the town, I can spend up to $5,000. So for example, if we were hosting, I'll use the mobile market, for example, the mobile market that's now coming to town. If I needed to purchase something, I have by the current procurement process, the current voted on procurement policy, I can spend up to $5,000 without bringing it to the board. I wanted to do my due diligence and bring it so that you all were made aware prior to spending it, because I know there has been some conversations and some issues in the past with the way funds were spent. So in full transparency, no, by fiscal policy, I do not have to bring it before the board.
So it really did not have to be post. This could have been done in real time. Had you just went ahead and done it, which is how it's set up to be. And that model is the model that works. I mean, this is kind of antiquated the way that we're doing, having to wait. If we're giving people the fiscal responsibilities and we're saying, these are all the documents that you need, then we need to go ahead and equip them to do as such. And they should be made to feel like they must be for the board because of a lack of trust. You know, so this didn't have to come before us, and it still falls within the guidelines of the CRA and what they're established to do.
Question for the director Washington. Are you on any of the boards or any of these nonprofits that's dealing with this?
I'm on no board.
No board? I was just asking for.
I'll protect myself, sir.
I'm just saying, since you are the, I guess originator, you were the head, I don't want you to have a conflict of interest with voting.
There's no conflict because I'm not on the board. I'm just a town leader that want to put on events.
Yeah.
And get nonprofit, and get business owners in the town to spend be sponsors, things like that. That's all I'm here for.
Chair, was the criteria met as far as putting out pamphlets and stuff for the CRA, promoting the CRA?
I'm not aware of any pamphlets that was.
With pencils out, we have my example.
So there were, yeah, so flyers were posted on social media. They were handed out around the town and I did see it. They were in barbershops and all common areas where people were made aware of the event and the activity.
Not that, we're saying putting out like credit repair programs here at the event. That's what we're talking about.
There's some town hall.
Putting a booth up saying we have home ownership programs and stuff around the event. That's what we're talking about, Executive Director, not just putting the CRA on a flyer, putting it online. That's not the same what I was talking about.
Can I say something? I get what you're saying, Director Daniels. Instead of scrutinizing something, a good thing, let's talk about how we can make it better. If you want to see a booth with someone in there talking about different programs, that's a suggestion. Because at the end of the day, Edenville was known for its cultural heritage, bringing people in, and I have a lot of people that frequent my place of business. All they talk about is old rainbow, and they don't look like us. You know what I mean? That's all they talk about. So I'm like, so we need to get back to bringing people within our community. So one way, shape, or fashion, other than the Zora, the parade, and whatever that case. There's some other things we can do to be creative. You know what I mean? To bring people within our community to to have a festive time and also to educate. That's what.
Director Williams, I'm in total agreement. But when you're on your own dime, you are absolutely right. But when it comes down to the funding that the town has to do, the town has to be the #1 priority as far as putting that money to good use to promote the town and promote what we're about.
Like you did.
So now when you use your own funds, you are absolutely right. You can throw whatever you want.
So
But when you use CRA money,
let's make it better. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about making it better. I'm not saying we say make it better.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't there. I'm sorry, I wasn't, I had to go out of town, but everyone I've been in communicated with, they had a great time. And they offered their opinion as far as making it better. And I'll share those with Theo at a later time.
I'm ready for the next one.
See,
You ready to go?
yeah, let's go.
All those in favor?
All right.
All opposed?
nay.
Nay.
Board member Gardner, voted yay.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, next, we have number 10, item number 10. Now, clerk, please read the preamble.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Number 9,
Yeah, number 10.
number 10, yes. Resolution CRA-R 2024-20. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida. Board of Directors approving a funding agreement for the paint, plant, and pave program at 213 Calhoun Avenue, the amount of $5,000, providing for conflicts, severability, and effectiveness.
Okay, we have heard the preamble for item number 10. Is there a motion?
Second.
Was moved by Board Member Gardner and second by Board Member Back. Any questions? No concern or questions?
Well, what question that for this $5,000? We complain about 2,500. Where your questions was 5,000? Okay.
Okay, I do have a question concerned about this item. Okay, in the packet, it lists roof repairs. One second. Okay, this is the paint, pave, and plant program. But it's requesting, it looks like it's about $7,500 for roofing and another $1,900 is for, it looks like it seems more like hauling and cleaning the property. I just wanna, emphasize that according to the program, it does not include roofing.
It
Is that
doesn't
correct?
it doesn't prohibit it.
It doesn't prohibit it.
Correct.
Pardon? Okay, well, I do have some issues about that. This is $7,500 for roofing. And $1,900, almost $2,000 for a cleanup. In the yard cleanup. But I thought our priority was more focused on the paint, pave, and plant program for the residents.
Is that a question that you're asking for me, or you're asking the board?
Yes. Yes, I just want
I
to
mean, there's no prohibitions in the program that says we can't use the money, the funds from the program cannot be used for roofing.
I would like to look into this a little bit more further. Do you have that? Can you send me that documentation that says this about we can use the funds for other things other than paint, pave, and
The board has the right to approve items based on what's submitted. So if the board chooses not to support the roof, then we can take the roof out and we can give $1,900 divided by 2, a 50% reimbursement. It has been brought during if it wasn't the last meeting, it was the meeting before, there was some question about we should be doing more as a CRA and helping with roofing. So the application was submitted and there were no prohibitions as it relates to roofing. As part of the program, it says the proposed improvements may include painting, landscaping, awning, sidewalks, etc. There are no, and it's for exterior improvements. There is nothing in here that prohibits and says we will not cover the following things.
Motion on the floor, isn't it? Let's see, I got a question.
anyone else? No? We ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Let me just say one, I guess when you see the program paint, plant and pave, I can, I can see where you coming from, because you thinking paint or plant or pave, you know what I mean, like the program says. There was no stipulation, and just say that if we something we need to go back and revisit and be more specific on what we mean by the program, I think that'll be the proper thing to do, to go back and do that on our end. Then as more applicants come in, we can, the director will be more precise and head things off that really doesn't
Yeah, yes, I agree. It seems like it is a little misleading because I know there are people who have inquired about this.
Right.
But when I gave out applications, I never informed them about anything about roofing. Even though some people say, I really need a new roof. You know, and I would be in favor of something for roofing if we had a little more, if we had it organized and if this was in the language, then we would give X amount of dollars for a roof, because even the roofing itself was well over the allowed amount for $5,000. I see they're asking for 7,900. So I don't think we did a very good job as far as putting that information out there. They can get a roof repair. So that just kind of opened up something a little different than what we say, what we trying to put out there, market this for the community. And I think it would be unfair for the residents if they knew that they could get money for roofing and they were just taking paint and pay and plant. But nothing about the came up in the language.
But it doesn't prohibit it though.
Yes, but how are we gonna get that?
How many applicants we have to apply for this? Okay, second one. Okay. Now, how many were limited to do? That's the next question.
The budget is 50.
Okay, so if it doesn't,
Per year.
so if it doesn't, like she said, it falls on us, this board. We could say, okay, let's do it because it doesn't prohibit whether we can do it or not. If we want to vote up on it, vote up on it. We vote down, it's not gonna make a difference. We're not doing anything unethical or unlawful. Am I correct, Tony? So we can just move forward with doing it. And you said it's only up to that amount, so when that amount run out, it is what it is. It's almost like you feed somebody, hey, you come and get the fish until it's gone. You understand? Ain't no difference. So I think we were sitting here contemplating about something that should have been passed 10 minutes ago, to be honest with you. Well, at least for me.
Councilman Director Matcock, I agree that it is slightly misleading. It is I don't want to use the term ambiguous, but it is kind of open-ended. I do agree, like Vice Chair Williams, that we should probably go back and maybe tweak it, maybe add those prohibitions in there so that moving forward, the other potential applicants are not confused. I also agree that we should potentially look at a program that does kind of focus on roofing. I know that we have a number of residents that have approached me about roofing programs in our town. And then I'm just, my biggest concern is that if we don't specify or if we do not prohibit, then we open the door for all the other things that are not prohibited. So I'm not in favor of this application. However, I am concerned that moving forward, this program could be misconstrued to be something other than paint, plant, pave.
What we gonna, guys, what we gonna do? You gonna keep Nick down?
That's what CRA is about.
Pass tonight, y'all see here, you know number 10, right? Go number 10.
Agency, man.
You gonna, y'all sit here, she said
question.
question, nobody said nothing. Now y'all got a bunch of questions. You wanna take down 1,700 like you did mine? My goodness, vote the thing up. We gotta use the money. CRA money is not to be sit here and say.
That's
You got to spend the money.
The fact that the program was set to do something specific.
Understand
and we
this.
should do something.
At the end of the fiscal year, we're supposed to have $0 now.
That's fine.
No, it's not
Let's
fine.
spend it appropriately.
Because y'all niggas ain't down to micromanagement stuff.
So
Sit here, pick and choose what y'all wanna
We're
do.
not gonna spend willy-nilly.
Y'all sit here, she said, you have more questions, with no questions.
Order.
Y'all just sit here and bring all this stuff up. Don't run the thing and vote it down.
Yeah, as a director on the board, we have the right to do so. We have the right to be responsible. We have the right to be thorough. We have the right to ask questions. If you skip past me because you're talking, doesn't mean that I didn't raise my hand for a question. However, I'm not in favor of this. I just want to make sure that in moving forward, our residents are not left behind or skipped over because they thought that the program was only paint, pave, and plant. If we are going to include roofing, let's include roofing. If we're going to do a special program for roofing, let's do a special program for roofing. I'm just saying, let's be more specific moving forward. I'm ready to vote.
Shit, I did have one. Anyway,
Many other 12.
if we do look at roofing, then I think that we have to consider home insurance. Because if I have damage on my insurance, I put an insurance claim, they give me a check for $10,000. I'm gonna keep 5,000. So if we're gonna deal with roofing, that's covered under home insurance, then that's a whole nother.
You know, they have insurance.
So that's, if they don't, then let that be known.
They have home insurance.
Need to be required.
Chair, I think what we can do is, in my opinion, I think the $1,900 would be a problem with that, but I think right now. We probably just need to reject the repair for, this is my opinion, the repair on the roofing. The application, I think for what she's documented here or what she needs in the backyard. I don't have an issue with that, but I think we just need to move it to another program. Because that is a very important point that you made about the insurance. Oh, yes. That adds another situation.
So there's a motion on the floor. Are we gonna vote on it, or are we gonna, what exactly are we gonna do? Because there was a motion in a second that took place.
Yes, been moved and properly second.
Yes, it's been moved, and it has been properly seconded. So we're ready to vote. All those in favor, let's signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Mine opposes, no. No, program. I am for the plan and the cleanup, but I'm not for the roofing. I
But we
just want to
just,
make that.
so we just voted on it, so we just voted.
The only name.
Okay.
No,
All right, we good.
For the record, Creighton, you did not oppose it.
no, I did not. I was like,
Recommend, but still.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Last item,
We're on 11.
the special events program. Town clerk, would you please read the preamble, please? Number 11.
Resolution CRA R 2024 21. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA. Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors approving a special events grant program policy for conflict severability and an effective date.
Okay. You have heard the preamble. Okay, can I have a motion? Is there a
So moved.
motion? So moved by Board Member Mack,
Second.
second by Board Member Washington. Any questions or concerns? If not, that is signified by voting. All those in favor? Any opposes? Name for Board Member Daniels. Next item, number 12. Town clerk, will you please read the preamble?
Resolution CRA R 2024 22, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida Board of Directors adopting budget amendment 2 for special events grant program funding for conflict severability and an effective date.
Okay, you have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Washington and second by Board Member Mack. Any questions?
Question, yeah. Director Rosen, did you mention earlier that you had some notations that you wanted to express for this item? Was this item that?
No, it's just that we're putting, we can fund up to 10 events, based on this $40,000, because it's a maximum up to $4,000 based on the criteria that's already approved in the policy.
Did we discuss the line items that we were amending for this one?
So, yeah, so it's coming out of what's classified on paper as the infrastructure. There's $270,000 in it, and we're transferring $40,000 and creating its own budget line item, leaving $233,000 in that budget item.
In infrastructure?
So that's the general. So what happened is when you all approved the budget last year, you all put all of the funds that were not allocated for programming, you put them in budget line item 6301. And so that's where we've been transferring all line items for to create all of the programs that we have created thus far.
I don't have that on my, budget paperwork. Am I missing something?
It's at the bottom of on the cover sheet. It says 6301. And if you go to the budget packet that you all have for the expense report, it's in line item 6301. It's there, and that's part of the monthly report that you all get.
It's 55.
Three.
I was looking for the, okay. I'm sorry, I skipped over it. Thank you.
No problem.
Well,
That was it. Thank you.
okay. All right, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposers?
Nay.
Made by board member James. Okay, next, this one, we have number 13. And town clerk, do you have anything to be read concerning this item?
Yes, resolution CRA-R 2024-23. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors approving renovations to 225 West Kennedy Boulevard for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Is there a motion?
We'll push, oh, go ahead.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Quick question, because I want to speak on it.
Second question.
Okay.
Okay, this is an item that I brought to the table. I was actually canvassing the area and, knew that we approved to, demo this particular property, which is at 225 Kennedy Boulevard, which is the, Tommy Dixon property that, we were supposed to demo, but I, came across a, great idea. And I know we're supposed to be putting the, neighborhood policing center down in Catalina Park. And I had an opportunity to speak to, a lot of people in Catalina, and they're not in favor of that particular center going down there at all. So I came up with the idea to possibly put it there at the Dixon property if it's up to this board, but I can't go over a few things if I can. We already have a structure, it hasn't been torn down, has it? Has it? Okay, but anyway, it's already structurally up, but let me just talk about it if I can. So we all got a different opinion about it, right? So it's already have a structure that's already up and standing. So I know the grant itself, give us $436,000 to go towards anything, and I know the grant specifies new, but I've already got the director, and I'm still waiting on the answer to know if we could actually do what it is that I'm trying to do in terms of like having the structure that we already have and build new to it. If that's something that we can do, but if we're not able to do it, we can just demo it and build it brand new all the way up.
So a few things. Oh, go ahead.
We're wasting our time on this here, Mr. Matt. First, you gotta be seeing that demo contract we did. That's the first thing, before we start talking about this. We need to rescind that. So all that, whoever had that contract, we have it no more. So you gotta understand that too. So you weren't talking, we don't need to be talking, we need to rescind that first. Do this board want to rescind that demolition grant money that they already started on? They already started on what they was doing out there. So now, do we get our money back? Do we rescind that motion, that vote? Or you want to start something else? Because we gotta be saying that before you talk about this. So I mean, I don't want to waste your time.
Like I said, I want to do whatever the board wants.
Like a point of clarification.
Okay.
So there's a few things, and I've placed it in black and white. So the grant that's in question is a community policing grant that was given to us by the BJA, which is the Bureau of Juvenile, the Bureau of Justice Association. So we were given the money for a specific item. It was approved by the federal government, because this is a federal grant, for a new community room / substation. The reason that this and all the documents have been provided, and in this, what was presented was there were community concerns about about the lack of bathroom in a public park. What we ultimately did when the grant was submitted, we ultimately kind of killed two birds with one stone, so to speak, where we were able, based on the space, we were able to provide a restroom as well as a community room for the residents so that we can alleviate some of the issues that have been reported and have been complained about by the residents. In addition to the bathroom, there are concerns with some of the activities. So the goal of this was to create a community room, because within the grant, we have programs that we have to deliver based on the funds that were received, including a youth program. So that's the first piece. So it was approved based on studies and information and data that was provided to the federal government. The second thing that that was stated is that currently the board has not expressed the desire to place what I would call three things. Number one, CRA cannot be in charge of a police substation. The second thing, there has been no desire expressed by the board to sublease the 225 West Kennedy residential portion of the property to anyone. And the third thing is that since I've been here, several board members have expressed tearing down the house, which was approved at the last meeting, so that we can then in turn put two homes that we can sell and we could generate revenue, because currently the CRA has not become independent on its own, financially speaking, and we need to seek an economic development opportunity that will generate revenue. So there's a lot of underlying pieces. Number one, we'd have to go into agreement with the town. Number two, the board would have to desire to go into agreement to lease the town, which again does not generate revenue, which is what the CRA should be doing. The other part of it is that we would have to then go back to the federal government. And so let's look at the bigger picture. This grant has been sitting dormant for a while, and we are now picking up the pieces. Since we've gotten a grant coordinator, we are now picking up the pieces to receive this funds. It has taken us extensive amount of hours, time, labor, and energy to get us to this point where we have been approved to receive the funds. For us to go back and request for the BJA to turn the project into moving it somewhere else, I'm not sure what the federal government would say. Number two, we would have to go through an entire rezoning process, because 225 West Kennedy is currently zoned residential. So if we were considering, there are a lot of moving parts and pieces, and of course, dealing with grants are on a timeline. And so those are things that I would like to share with the board, and that I have expressed to Director Mack, is that there are a lot of moving parts and pieces to this. And the first things first is that the CRA cannot speak on behalf of the council. The council has to express the interest and say, hey, CRA, can we use this property? That has not happened to date. And I want us to be cognizant as we're moving forward with any decisions dealing with this particular item.
But I have sent you emails and I asked you all the questions that you just said, and I've yet to get a response from you in terms of, have you spoke to the grant itself and speaking with them in terms of, like, is it something that we can do, being that we got a structure already up, and could we add new to it? Now, I think either way it goes, I want to do what's right for the community, no matter what, right? But I know the citizens in Catalina Park do not want a neighborhood policing center, and they express that. And then the whole point of having a bathroom, I think, is a dangerous job too, in terms of putting something down there, because you got so much happening in these bathrooms, where people just doing the most, right? And I don't want to put ourselves in a situation to where, that's why I'm making, and I have to state on the back court, there's no access to the bathroom for good reasons. And I don't want to put us in a critical position by putting a bathroom in Catalina Park and things happen and occur, because we're going to be a liability, because it's the property, right? The CRA. And we don't want anything to, and that's why I said, let's go to this point right here. Now, like I said, though, I'm not going to be the only one to actually vote on this particular item. And I want to do what's right. I want to make sure that we're vetting this thing and doing everything like down our eyes and crossing our T's. But I think it's a great idea, especially with us needing and wanting a neighborhood policing center. I don't see why we could go away from it, but in any event, if the project was to put, two single family homes or whatever on this property, if this is what this board wanna do, there you have it. It's just an idea that I came up with, and I think it's a pretty good idea, because where are you gonna put the, policing center now? If we're not gonna put it in Catalina?
Who said we wouldn't?
But I'm just saying if we don't.
I mean, that's not somebody's board though.
I know it's up to this board, but what if we go down the direction of not wanting to put it in Catalina? Because of all the reasons I just spoke on. Bathroom, for one, right? And I know we've been talking about having a bathroom in Catalina, but you gotta think about everything that come along with that bathroom down there, especially if it's not locked. It's a lot of different things that can take place down there with kids running in the park. You got people around here doing all kind of things, man. But see, listen, I'm thinking long term. I'm not thinking now. I'm so far ahead because I got a vision. And my vision when looking at this project right here, which made perfect sense. Why would you tear down even though we agreed to do it before me coming up with this idea, but why would you tear down a perfectly good structure and just tear it down and rebuild it? You know, it doesn't make any sense, especially when you can save money. We got over $400,000 to develop with. You know what I'm saying? That will make perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a lobby, offices, you're gonna have existing structures in there, you're gonna have a kitchen area, you're gonna have a new bathroom. We're talking about bathrooms, right? In the enclosed facility. And then you got multi-purpose additions also. I think it'd be a great idea for us to go down the direction of even just speaking on it. Even if we go and demolish the property, hey, if that's what this board wanna do, because it's already out there, right? So if that's what we wanna do, but also coming back to this particular item and visiting it, and we can table it. We ain't gotta make no decision tonight, all right?
No, we can vote on this. But I got a question.
Okay.
We vote on this. The thing is this, I live in this community and I disagree. She didn't, the chairman in this community. When you say neighborhood policing, that means we got a lot of crime in Lake Level.
I'm not saying.
No, you are saying that. You want this in my neighborhood. You don't live in this neighborhood.
So you saying it's a lot of crime in Catalina?
I'm not saying, I didn't say that, Calvin. I don't live in Cali.
1 second.
I'm saying in this part of my woods where I know it's no crime for us, I don't support these anyway. But when they get them in apartments, they put them in those substations there. No, I don't support these kind of things in a black neighborhood anymore. Because we don't need substations at all. What they doing in Calvin Park, like they said, we're getting a 2-for-1. You can get a room to say, quote, substation, but it can be used for anything, for meetings. So let's get at the point where substation in Calvin Park. We do need, we do this. I know it's not.
Right.
Huh?
It's a policing center. It's
But
different.
it's still the same thing. It's still the same.
No, it's different. It's different.
No, it's still,
It's totally different.
So,
Can we have the
so
one
what
person
I'm saying
speak at a
is,
time?
you let know how much crime in Lake Level that we need this area. Then that'd be something, but it's no crime in my
There's no
neighborhood.
coming either.
No, I'm just saying in my
But
neighborhood.
the grant,
So I just can't support this here.
Okay, I'm gonna yield to Director Lardner.
Just a couple more things, you know, if it's not safe going into the bathrooms, then it's even less safe going into the bushes. And I've been down there several times, and not just adults, but children are going over into the bushes to relieve themselves. That's unsafe. The second thing is the Catalina, we're not creating any revenue there. There's no tax money generated. So why would we take land that we can get tax revenue from and put a substation there? And go back to your statement about the Catalina residents not wanting a substation. I was met with the same resistance. They didn't want a substation. I agree that there's not a lot of crime in the town of Eatonville. We have so far moved from substation to simply, I've heard clubhouse, rec center, community center. It doesn't matter what you call it for me, but the idea that children can have birthday parties in that park, inside, not outside. They can have trainings right there on the west side. Don't always have to come to Denton Johnson. On the outside, bathrooms, on the inside, bathrooms, maybe one. But it just makes sense to me. And we're using land that we're not getting income from, and really it's just a promise kept.
Well, like I said, we all have different opinions, right? Now, we talking about revenue, we're kind of in a chokehold right now with the property across the street. And all surrounding, Edenville. It's a lot of property in Edenville, a lot of property in Edenville that we can sit and put, single family homes on, and it's a lot of, I can go on and on, right? But I say that to say this also. This is just an idea that I came up with. My job is to bring things that I think would be, for the betterment of the community, right? Being a neighborhood policing center, I know we don't have a lot of crime in Edenville, and thank God we don't. Because I thank God for our policers, for policing this area and making sure that we don't, right? But in any event though, I think if we're gonna go down a direction with the grant that we do have, why not utilize this area down here at 225 West Kennedy to put this particular project right here there. Like I said, I'm only one vote, so I can't sit here and twist anybody's arm about it, but I think it's a great idea. I think everything that's associated with it, with the floor plan and, you know, just to add on to the, and even if we don't add on to it, if we just tear it down and build it back up, I think that's a clear location to have it, even though it's a residential and it's both. So we can't sit here and just say it's residential, it's commercial and residential. So the Tony side of it is residential and the back side of it is commercial. So why we can't move forward with even potentially trying to do something like this or just have a workshop on it, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm in favor if this board tear the home down, right? Tear it down if it needs, so because she said the grant doesn't call for it, and then we don't wanna go through the stipulations of going back to the federal level, asking them, hey, could we do this and do that? They've already given us the grant, which is a lot of money, $437, $36 to be precise. So we definitely wanna jeopardize ourselves by losing that, because she did say we have a timely manner to spend the funds anyway. And the funds are there, it's available. So whatever this board wanna do. Now, I spoke to a lot of people in Carolina Park, they do not want a neighborhood policing center in their community. Now, I think.
They got police, that's just a. We can tell you.
Well, how would you do it?
We can mask it any kind of.
Well, how would you do it? But it's so many different variables that play a part in everything.
Okay, I'm gonna,
No?
I'm gonna yield to, board member.
Director Washington said something that caught my attention when he mentioned that, you know, we've already made a vote and we've already supported a business in working down there on that property. So I personally don't want to backtrack on that. However, to your point, even if it's not at 225 West Kennedy, and maybe this is a question for Ms. Rose, is there another property maybe that the CRA owns? I do like that west side idea too, like what Director Gardner mentioned, some options on that side as well as, what we have over here on the east side. But is there the potential for using another CRA property to move forward with these ideas?
I mean, there is, I would say this. What would have to, can you all, can you all hear me?
Leave the grant.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I think that what has to be, and I think this is what everyone is missing. And so this goes back to the earlier conversation about talking to town attorney. We have to be on the same page. The CRA board cannot make decisions for town council. Understanding this was a grant that was written, the CRA wrote on behalf of, and we are in transition with the potential that this may be going back to the town. With that being said, the town itself and the town council must vote on where they desire to put this substation. The funds, and so there is an agreement that is being drafted by the town attorney, giving us permission to use the land that's currently in Catalina Park. So there are a lot of moving parts and pieces to this, and a lot of this, and I would be remiss if I didn't say I believe that this needs to go back to the town, and the town needs to make the determination on where it sees fit, because ultimately this building will be built and it will be turnkey to the town with after 5 years after being built. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this grant that I think everyone must be aware of. And definitely the fact that the town must make that decision. The town must decide where it decides to put this, because again, this was just a pass-through grant that the CRA wrote at the time, the former executive director wrote at the time on behalf of getting some community policing opportunities. So I would ask that when we talk about the community room opportunity, it was created with an intended purpose, and the intended purpose was ultimately and I'm just going to be real frank, it was to address a public comment, and I have shared that document with Director Mack. There was a specific comment that residents made. There was a specific CRA meeting where residents came to the CRA meeting and said they would like to see bathrooms placed in Catalina Park, which is then what sparked the executive director to go and even apply for this grant in addition to other community policing opportunities. So that's where we stand today. I would say that it is not in the CRA's purview to make any decisions, and I repeat, any decisions on where the town would like to put this. That should go back to the town for the town to make the decision, because ultimately after the 5-year grant, after the 5 years are up with this grant, it is then the town's responsibility. As it relates to CRA property, the CRA would then have to say, the town would have to come to the CRA and say, hey, CRA, we would like to enter into an MOU agreement that says we would like to use your land for X, Y, and Z. That would, and that's, and in retrospect, that is what the CRA has done. The CRA has reached out to the town attorney since this project has been proposed at Catalina Park. The CRA has done its due diligence and has reached out to the town and say, we would like to use your land to build this building, and then we will turnkey it back to you in 5 years. So as far as the location, where it goes, that must come from the council. The council must then ask the CRA. If that is a desire, the council must then ask the CRA, can it do it? That is not a place for us to decide as a CRA here tonight in this or any future meetings.
I agree to a point, and then my thing is, what I was proposing is having like a community meeting with the Catalina residents, because I think it's important before you actually start building in someone's neighborhood to just go about making your decisions with just 7 people making decisions for thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? So I think, in retrospect to what you said, I think we need to do our due diligence and making sure that we're vetting this thing and talking and having a community meeting about what could possibly come in Catalina versus sitting here. We're gonna put it here regardless if you like it or not. I don't think we need to go down the direction of doing that. Now, what we do need to do is be a little bit more creative. We got a lot of land in Edenville. CRA owns some of it, right? So we need to make sure that we're making a point to do something that's gonna be sustainable for the community also. I do agree with what Board Clinton said, with bringing tax revenue, with building single family homes. Those are the type of things that does make sense, right? But this is not the only property that you can do it on. You understand me? So that's why I recommended this particular project, and I came up with the name Dixon Neighborhood Policing Center. I think it'll be appropriate, especially with him living in that house for as long as he did with the Dixon family. So what makes sense to me may not make sense to a lot of people, but this is just an opinion. I'm not the only one that's gonna make my conviction on moving forward with this as a vote, but it's just an idea that I came up with. You know what I'm saying? So whatever this board wants to do, I'm in favor for, especially if it's doing what it need to do to make sure that we're doing everything for the betterment of the community. So if all minds and hearts are clear, man, I'm for whatever this board want to do. But I think we need to be, very diligent about making certain moves before just making certain moves. So, we gotta be very careful, man.
Okay, careful, yeah, I just told you. We already got a motion, we already got a vote on the property already to do this. So what you doing now?
They got equipment sitting there.
What,
I just speak on it. Can I just speak on it?
So what you trying to vote on this for? But we can vote on it. It don't make no sense.
No. Listen, this could be an item that can come back, because you got either way it goes, right? Listen, whether we vote it up or down, we'll come back to
supposed
it.
to be good stewards of this community. They're not being a good steward.
And I'm not.
But you're not making, so steward is when you making income for your city.
Wow.
That's what a steward.
But like I just stated though, Like I just said, though, this is not the only property that we have, that just stated the board member credit. This particular property is not the only property that CRA owns, okay?
Yes.
So I'm just,
Do we need to vote? Because the way Director Rose sounds is like this isn't our decision anyway, so do we need to move forward with a vote tonight? Should we rescind it? Should we move forward? We should. According to-
Based on what I'm hearing from the executive director, it sounds as if it's not, an issue that the CRA can take up, so the specific vote should be rescinded, and taken up on the town side as indicated.
so I resend my motion.
I'll resend my second with questions.
Okay, so the motion has been rescinded,
Yes,
is that correct? Yes. Okay.
So what happened with the demo?
that's already been approved.
Oh, okay, I'm just making sure they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's already been approved.
Okay.
Cause I don't wanna keep chugging water about that either, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, if we're gonna do it, you can do it with a new structure, if that's what we, tend to do. Cause I don't wanna sit here and keep going back and
Are we
forth about
saying
that
that
either,
if the demolition
or whatever we put over there.
can go forward?
Yes. What's been done?
So we're saying here as a body that the demolition can go forward,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Are we ready for?
Are we tabling this? Or-
Oh, are we, well, what are we doing? I'm sorry.
Oh, so we do nothing with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Ready for staff report, staff reports. Okay, attorney,
No report.
hey, Ms. B, yeah, anything?
No report.
All right. Mrs. Rose?
Report?
I don't have a report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director,
No report, everybody drive safe.
I have a report, but yes, I know somebody said somebody that's something Enville really needs. I've got good talk about this event, and I will be bringing some more events back. I don't care if we support it or not. That's the main thing that we need here in the community. So beware, we'll be bringing some more events to this town of Edenville. So I look forward to supporting this board, the ones that want to support it. So I mean, we sit down and knock things. Everybody do something on this up here, and that's what we need in this community. Bringing people to the community. I met people never been to Edenville before to an event, and that's what the sheriff is supposed to do, bringing people to the community. So that's what I will be doing in the near future too. So thank you for supporting me, and that's it.
okay, Vice Chair
Yes,
Williams? Your report? Board Member Crispin?
No report.
Board Member Back?
Yes, this is directed to the executive director, Ms. Shan Rose. Hey, listen, Ms. Shan, for the record, anytime myself or any board member email you, could you please, and this is for the record, could you please email us back in a respectful time? We need your response because we depend on you as an executive director to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that we're doing all the things to move the CRA forward. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. That's my report.
Okay, Board Member.
yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. What this town really needs is to work on our infrastructure, our water system. Policies and procedures in place to help us work efficiently when it comes down to finance, separation of CRA and town. That's what we need to work on. We work now and then we can party later, not party first and then work later. For the record, also Mayor Demings did, and Orange County did a survey, or they did an investigation on the separation of a board from the CRA independent board. He said we can't do it, and that's from Mayor Demings himself. Also, I want this board to keep that same energy when it comes down to separating money from the town and from the CRA. Just keep that same energy when it comes down to legal. I think we've had that discussion tonight. Let legal from the CRA be legal, and then the legal from the town be kept on that side. Attorney's discount. I want to thank Attorney Morrell and Attorney Jackson for your service of not counting every phone call that some attorneys do. I had an opportunity to talk to Attorney Morrell back in the day, and he said, Councilman, I didn't charge y'all for a lot of stuff. So when I hear that, I appreciate that. I showed the love that you have for the town and what we're going through, and you don't just hit us for every email and phone call that some attorneys do. Also with that, can we, when we do that report on the attorney, can we see how many CRA inquiries, I'm sorry, how many town inquiries that went to the CRA have Mr. Jackson got? Since we have so many CRA inquiries going to the town, how about reversing? How many town inquiries have gone to Attorney Jackson on his financial things at the end? Also, how many, and this is for, didn't we send the form and just let the person speak? Also this is for Executive Director Rose. Can you give me the demolition programs that are in other CRA, with, let's say, the Orange County area, if they have CRA demolition programs? I also agree with Board Member Matt when it comes down to addressing emails directed to the Executive Director. We can do better with that. And sometimes the blame, and this is for Board Member Gardner, sometimes the blame does go to the director, Executive Director, because we depend on her for her to do her homework so that we don't have issues like that with the estate. That's the first thing I caught, like, well, we can't even go forward with this because we have two names that are on his application that doesn't even have anything to do with the property. With our Executive Director heading that off, that would save us a lot of time and effort in going through this ourselves. That's my report, and have a good night.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, my report, this is to the Executive Director. The Executive Director, I just want to make sure that we clarify the duties and responsibilities that we have as far as me being a member and also being the chair. So I just want to make sure that we're able to establish better relationships with myself as the chair. I know there's been a transition as far as the switching of the helm. However, I would like to be well informed of anything that's going on, and I'd like to know from you here the work schedule. I have a problem when I call here. Sometimes I stop by and you're not in the office. I don't know what is going on with your work schedule, and that is something that I really need to know because I want you to be aware that you are accountable to the board. You report to the board. And I know at some point there's some executive, maybe duties or something like that involvement that you have to convey with the mayor on, but I just want to make sure that I understand and that you understand our relationship and your responsibilities to the board to make board decisions. I was very unhappy with you canceling that meeting that we were supposed to have on the 16th. And when you had called me about it and I was informing you who advised you or told you to cancel the meeting. And I think your answer to me was, I thought that was very not acceptable. Because you had mentioned Mr. Shepherd's name. Mr. Shepherd is not the attorney at law or the legal counsel for the CRA. It's Mr. Jackson. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And I made sure to inform you of that. Your answer to me is that Mr. Shepherd is the town attorney for the whole town. So, you know, that again, we discussed this tonight. So I'm hoping that by this direction, that you have a more clear understanding as to who concerning legal affairs, who is the person of contact that you should go to. All right. Hopefully this week, maybe next week, as soon as possible, I'd like for you and I to have a meeting so we can go over the meeting of the minds and I can get more or less share some other things with you. And not only that, but as a board, we have to be conscious that we have to make sure that we are accountable for the performance of our executive director, because we depend on her or that particular person for everything as far as providing guidance, our goals and our objectives. So somewhere along the line, we got to have a performance assessment as to how we are performing and how she's performing. So that way we can stay on track and stay in process of what we have to do here. So that's all I have to say. I'd like to,
Chair,
thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I did forget one thing, and this is important.
Can I finish, please? And then I'll.
But before you close up.
Yes, okay, all right, thank you. Also, I would like to say, I'd like to, mention to everyone, let's just be very conscious to give everyone an opportunity without kind of tracking on top of another person's conversation. So let's just make sure that we do our diligence in a professional manner to make sure that that everyone will have their adequate time to speak. And then once we have done that, we can always go back to acknowledge you again, because it may be something that you probably left out or something that just wasn't said. I really appreciate that very much. All right, I'm going to yield to Board Member Gardner.
And this is quick and direct. Part of it I
Thank
have to address on Tuesday, but part of it today. You sat with the HR director, HR coordinator, and she gave you copies of personnel files. And we've since spoken. You were definitely able to look at those files, take notes, but you should not have received copies. So I'm asking you to return those copies so they can be shredded.
Oh, I have them. I'll turn them tomorrow.
Thank you. I just want to say that.
Okay.
And we have already made that standard operating procedure, so we're clear. But she honestly didn't feel like she had a choice. But we made that clear
Okay,
as
but
well.
what is it in the personnel files that I'm not entitled to?
Okay, what I said was, you can make all the notes you want. You can look at everything in there. You're entitled to all of it, but just not walking away with hard copies.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, what is it in a personnel file, which is public record? Tell me what is it that I'm not allowed to get?
And I'm saying again,
No, you haven't answered the question. I will return the files, but I just want you to tell me right now on record.
it
On
is,
public record,
okay, so
I'm not allowed to get a person's
let me just say it
application
like this.
or,
I'm gonna say it like this.
okay.
Since that happened, we did check with other municipalities in regards to best practice. If there's a law that you want from me, you are not gonna get that, but what you will get is this. Best practices in most municipalities is that when someone wants to see a personnel file, they definitely have access to everything in there. They take their notes, but not copies of the documents, which is what you receive. Now, you have background in it as well. I don't know about your human resource background, but I just know here in this building, for now, that's what I'm standing on. If it should change, I get better information, then we'll change our standard operating procedures, but I'm asking you to kindly return the copies. You can make all the notes you want to for yourself, but in regards to the copies, I'm asking that you return any hard copies, and if you've shared them.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how many, I'm
understand.
just asking, so we
But
get back.
it was only three files.
And
All the
that's-
others were my own paper
Okay,
that I made notes myself.
and I'm not speaking of the notes, that just
Yes,
copies.
that's no problem.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, all right. If that's it, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Slow mo.
No, we gotta move it.
I'm sorry.
Move,
Motion to
move,
adjourn.
motion to
adjourn.
So move.
Okay, so move. Second. All right, thank you.
You all have a good night.
For the record, the time is 9:53.
Don't say that.
Y'all don't have to go home, but I need y'all to go in.